Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Welcome to Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
Hello, folks. This is Shane R. Monroe.
This is Chris Henschel.
Welcome to another episode of Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good. We have quite the show for him today, don't we, Chris?
Yes, we do.
As we always do.
Top form.
Absolutely. And we are recording this on the 10th. The eve of the great DS Lite send-out going up tomorrow, the launch. I'm telling you what, I was talking, this is a great story. I got tons of great stories this episode. I was at GameStop, and I was chatting with my folk over there, and this older couple, dude, I couldn't believe this. I meant to tell you about this offline, but I've totally forgot about it. This older couple comes in looking for DS Lites. And I'm thinking grandma, grandpa type thing, buying something for their kid's birthday or something, right?
Do you happen to have any DS Lites in stock?
Okay, they weren't that old. It's not like they were 1 foot in the grave.
Do you sell chess or checkers in here?
Yeah, do you have club games? I need to play some bingo. No, they weren't that old. I mean, but they were like, you're talking like late 50s, early 60s. So, they
that's
looked retired. That's old. Anyway, they come in and they're like, yeah, right. They come in and they're like, yeah, do you have the DS Lite? And the guy's like, no, we can't sell them until Sunday. And the guy's like, oh, okay, well, are you going to have any? And, it's funny, I don't think he ever answered that question, which was weird. And he pointed over at, because I was working with one of the other guys' DS Lites. He got one breaking street date too. So he wanted me to go in and do a little magic on it. So I was in there doing a little magic on it. And, we had already finished up. We were just sitting there shooting the breeze. And the guy behind the counter pointed over to us and said, yeah, well, they've got lights if you want to see one. And this old dude says, oh, no, I've already got one. I imported one months ago. I'm like,
oh,
what? Wow. Dude, I mean, the Atari 2600 was probably out, and
what color did he say you got? Did it happen to say?
What's that?
Did he happen to say what color he got?
He didn't say what color he had, but it was interesting that he had already imported it. And we sat and shot the breeze for a little bit and talked about street dates and who had broken it and when and the whole frapper thing. And
wow.
Dude, I was like stunned. I mean, to have this old guy come in with his wife and, not only talking about DS Lites, but have already had one.
That's really cool.
But they imported. That freaks me out, dude. You don't think about old people like knowing how to import.
First of all, the fact that they even have a DS, much less a DS Lite, and then on top of it, imported it.
Yeah.
Wow. That just
so don't tell me that
my,
Nintendo's not working the casual game generation to the max.
We need to strengthen our brains, Sonny. Where's that brain aids?
I need a big brain academy.
Yes.
Way too funny. But I thought that was an interesting statement. And I've been hearing that EB has been breaking some street dates, and they're selling them. They were selling them today and yesterday, in fact. But nobody wants to cough up and say which EBs they were.
Yeah, I think they're all exactly. They're all pretty much in the know of what's going on now. When I called last week, and tried to inquire about picking up a DS Lite from Target back when this whole thing broke. I called up and he says, yes, we do. We have them. And I'm like, well, wow, and I just happened to be home that day. So I'm thinking, let me take a run over. I wasn't going to go until I called. It's not exactly right around the corner, but it's close enough that I'm going to take a run over and check it out. And sure enough, I got one. I mean, they had a whole boatload of them, about 25 of them.
There's a ton of people, right now, just before you keep going with that, there's a ton of people listening right now that never go to our forums. I'm telling you what, you guys are missing out because we had information about this the morning that it happened.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because a lot of people who are listening probably don't know what happened. It was about, a week ago, a week ago Wednesday, I think
it'll have been coming 2 weeks ago this coming Wednesday. So basically, I had the DS Lite almost a week and a half before it actually came out. It was fantastic. I was shocked that they even had them. But the thing that's funny is that I wanted the big part of the story is I came home, and back when we were trying to see if we could get you to get your GameStop out where you are to break release date, and I called up the local GameStop here to see about maybe seeing if we could get my brother's pre-order ahead of time, because I'm thinking, if they broke Street Day, what's stopping you?
Right.
Just due to competitive reasons. And the guy I talked to on the phone was just totally befuddled. I mean, I said, he's like, well, what? And I said, well, I just picked it up at Target. I mean, is there any way if I prove it, or wait a minute, where did you get Target? And you can hear him in the background. His coworker was like, wait a minute, what Target? And I told him, and he's like, oh, well, we're going to run out and try to grab one. His coworker wanted to leave GameStop and go pick up a DS Lite from Target.
Yeah.
And they hadn't actually even gotten their stock in, he said. They weren't getting it until at least the following weekend. So I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I mean, I'm calling up a game store, and these guys are shocked that, and that's the thing. They get all snobbish, like, well, we happen to have about 50 of them in the back room, but sorry, we can't sell them just yet. Well, it's all right. I just picked one up early at Target. Oh.
Yeah. Want me to drop by and let you, sniff the bag or something,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is funny, too. The old guy that I was talking to that had the DS Lite, he kind of shrugged it off at the concept that they were going to be scarce on launch day. And I said, I thought the same thing. I thought that, the DS was sort of like, the redheaded stepchild of the handhelds, and there wasn't going to be a big, release thing, and that there weren't going to be people all over the place. And then I told him the story about Frapper, and this is kind of fun, too, to go along with that story. Street Date was only broken for maybe 48 hours total.
If even, yeah.
And it just so happened that, our
fast.
forum, somebody had actually posted, hey, you're never going to believe this, I got one at Target. And that's what kind of spawned Chris and myself to try to research and find out, where the Targets are, who has them, and Chris went and got his. I was still stuck at work. I couldn't leave. At lunchtime, I left my office and ran around all of downtown Phoenix. I went to two Targets and a Walmart, and neither of them had any available. But when I came back, it turned out that the masses had already assembled on this mapping site called Frapper. And what Frapper was something, I guess, that lets you,
it kind of lets you put down, if you're part of a community or a website, you can kind of, I mean, we could do it if we wanted to, but I think it's a little over the top.
Yeah.
You can kind of put little push pins. It's almost like a Google MapQuest looking thing.
Yeah.
You can put push pins of where you're located, and just to give an idea of where in the world the listeners or your community and your friends that you talk to in the forums may be located.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pen pal like kind of thing. But instead of doing, names and where you're located, they were putting down the locations of the stores that actually broke the release date of the Nintendo DS. So, I actually went on there and put it on the Target that I found mine at, and I put the, what shopping center, the whole bit. So people could find them if they're around the area, in PA.
And I'm telling you, the response that site got, I mean, you could just sit there and almost watch in real time.
Yeah, it just blew up.
Were appearing all over the place.
Yeah, because I remember posting it on our dualscreenradio.com website. I put it on the front page, and actually, this whole thing started off of a posting from. We gotta give credit here. I mean, this is where the whole thing blew up from, was cheapassgamer.com, which is a really cool site to want to join into, a nice forum where you can find a lot of nice deals. I've been on there for a good while now, and a couple of the guys from our forum they've been on there too. And some guy just kind of came in and posted, look at this, I can't believe it. I went into Target to pick up blah, blah, blah. I forget what he said. I think Riddick or something. Some off-the-wall game that he was just going to pick up for $20, He didn't think anything of it. He went down the game aisle, and he said, lo and behold, my eyes deceive me, but there were DS Lites in the bin, just waiting to be scooped up. And that's when he brought it home and took pictures. And that's when it exploded. I mean, GameSpot.com picked up the news. IGN picked it up, and it just went nuts. Everybody thought maybe it was a fraud at first, but, then all of a sudden other people started coming in and saying, hey, I got one too. I got one here. And they were showing receipts and whatnot. And next thing you know, the thread itself turned into be 53 pages long as of now, as far as I know. So,
tell me that's not incredible. I mean, don't tell me that there's no drive or desire for DS
There is
Lites.
a demand for this.
Hell yeah, there's a demand for it.
And I mean, it's not going to be anything like we've seen in Japan. I mean, in Japan we had people in the freaking subway. That's how long it was. It was going down into the tube of the, underground.
People kicking each other's ass to get one.
Right. And, it's just not going to be that way here. I've never seen anything like that for a Nintendo system here to begin with. Over there, that's just kind of that's a yearly thing for them in Japan. A new system comes out. And, I mean, they actually had to tell the companies to please stop releasing these systems on weekdays because it was actually, screwing around with the economy. A lot of people were staying home from work.
Isn't that just totally funny? I mean,
and they now it's actually a law, an ordinance that says, game companies have to release their systems or key games on weekends only. I mean, for a while, the Dragon Warrior was a big one over there. A sequel would come out because they love their RPGs.
Isn't that funny?
And people would take off from work, kids would stay home from school, play hooky. It was chaos. So I don't see that happening here, but there's obviously a demand. There seems to be more of a demand than the original DS had. Yeah. And I also think there's a lot more marketing going on, though, in terms of the DS Lite. There's a little more word of mouth nowadays. The thing came out in Japan in what? Was it February?
Yes,
late February, early March?
Early March, something like that.
And look how much word of mouth there's been since then, just over the last few months, and all the pictures online. I mean, everywhere you turn, you got everybody comparing. I mean, we even did our own little, you imported it, and we did our own little take on it. So, the juices are flowing, so to speak, and people are just, hungry to chew it up, it seems. There seems to be a really good word of mouth for it. And I can see why. I mean, the thing's fantastic.
Yeah, Chris finally got his, of course, from the Street Day break, and all he's been doing is crying how lead it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's no dead pixels. That's just fantastic. I was actually getting ready to open it in the car and just make sure, because I figured I could take it back and exchange it, but then again, I wasn't going to push my luck and say, hey, wait a minute, you shouldn't even have this.
Yeah.
So I was praying there was no dead pixels, otherwise I'd be waiting till it actually released and I'd have to swap it. Now, so far, I mean, everything is fantastic. The only little qualms I have are the fact that the sound seems to be a little more diminished on this, I'm sorry to say. But at the same time, whereas the sound's a little more diminished, there's not as much distortion. Especially during, like, Meteos, I would get a lot of distortion. Especially at the lower levels, I was always fine-tuning it at the lower levels so I wouldn't wake the wife up at bed at night, while I'm playing this game. And, other than that, it's just the volume, it's really flaky. I found this is how they are, but the volume control seems to be really, like, kind of loosey feeling.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that.
It's really weird.
It creeps me out. There's got to be, there's a reason. There's a reason, I know, but... Dude, that's like one of the weakest parts of the new system.
Very strange.
I think I mentioned when we did our review of the import, it's like, maybe it's not supposed to be like this. Maybe I just got a freaky unit, but everyone confirms that that's the way the volume control is. And again,
I was hoping it wasn't damaged or something. And I got online right away, and everybody's like, nah, that's how it is. I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
But anyway, fantastic stuff. I mean, I can't even go back to the old DS now. It's that scary, because even on the lowest light level, this thing is still brighter than the old DS. And on top of it, even on the lowest light level, this thing gets, 17 to 19 hours of battery power.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Like that, yeah.
Crazy. So you figure even if you get on Wi-Fi, that's about, even if you knock half that off, that's over 9 hours.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, which is what I bet the original was, without Wi-Fi, so... Good stuff.
It's good stuff. The colors are richer. The screens are brighter and more crisp.
Yeah, the vibrancy of the colors is what's great. It's so nice going back and replaying a lot of the old games now. I just actually tore through WarioWare Touched again. I mean, everything's just so much more vibrant and colorful. Metroid Pinball has been the biggest one, like you've already gone over a billion times, but not until you actually hold and see it in your hands do you really appreciate all the little details that you're really missing out on in the old DS.
Yeah, that's the funny part. We have tons of people in the forums and stuff that's like, I'm fine with my DS. It's like, that's only because you've never had a light in your hand.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, if you really don't plan on forking out for a light, don't touch one. If you see one in the store as a demo unit or you got a friend that has one, don't go put your hands on it. Because I promise you, as soon as you figure out how light it is, in terms of weight, not necessarily brightness, and then you see how vibrant those screens are, you're going to be pissed and you're going to want one. So if you're really hard set on not getting one, do yourself a favor and don't expose yourself to one.
It's funny. One of the smaller things I really liked, I never really thought about until I started laying in bed and playing it, which is where I play it the most. I have to say, like, just before bed, it's a good way to zonk me out, is just holding it, laying down and holding it up. It's just a lot easier to hold, and my arms don't seem to want to cramp up as fast, It's just that much extra lighter than the old DS was.
And let's be honest, the buttons and the controls are so much
the
better.
buttons are fantastic.
I'll tell you what,
it.
that's where I started getting hand cramps, was from the buttons and stuff.
Yeah,
if I was
no
gonna
more
get cramps
clicking
at all, it was because of these clickety buttons. These new ones,
Smooth as butter. I mean,
Smooth as butter.
they're so light and loose that you would say, well, wait a minute, loose would be less accurate, but no, they're actually more accurate because you're not, your thumb just kind of flows right over them instead of actually feeling like they're falling into little divots, as you click around the corners and whatnot.
It's really hard to
Good
explain.
stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, this is one of those things, and I've said this a million times. Chris has said it. Until you have one, until you've played with one, you can't make an accurate assessment. You can't realize how much better they are. That's all I can say.
Absolutely
That's all I'm
not.
going to say about that. Some of the things, our editorial, I guess we haven't recapped the show yet. We've been already just chewing away for 20 minutes, and we haven't even talked about what's going to be on the show. This show we're going to talk, our editorial commentary is going to be about the GameStop model. And we have some very, I don't know if they're insightful or not, but things that we find interesting about the whole GameStop model. And
I guess I could actually go into EB Games as well, couldn't it?
yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah, I mean, they're now the same company anyway.
Yeah, specialty boutique gaming
Yes.
stores. We're going to talk a little bit about that, not a whole lot. In that discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about the whole screen protector thing, because we've had a lot. I mean, that's like our
I see a lot of
biggest
questions.
question.
I see a lot of questions
What screen protector
now.
should I get? Do I need a screen protector? Why? Which one should I get? Pros, cons, etc. We're talking about that in the GameStop model too. Reviews of Big Brain Academy, of course, that's the big one everyone's waiting to hear about. We're going to talk about that. And if you remember our import review that Chris did on Puzzloop, the American version, Magnetica, which is still the worst name ever, is finally out now, and you can buy that. And we're going to talk to you just a little tiny bit. We swore when we did the import that when the U.S. version came out, we weren't going to go over it again. We're just going to give you a couple of little things about it that are different so that you can intelligently get the version that you want. Coming attractions, of course, what's out now and worth your cash. Large touch-and-go segment as always. And, of course, we'll file out with what's going on the website, what we're talking about on the forums these days, give you a little update as to what's going on.
And people who may have had some questions via email, blah, blah, blah. So
we got such a great show. I mean, these shows write themselves. That's how great the DS is. These things just happen upon themselves.
We always find something to talk about. Even if there isn't any news, it's always fun to hear about just little things that we think are important about the DS.
I've got so many stories for this touch and go. I already told one story, but I've got like two more great stories to tell you guys about. You're going to love them.
Great.
As they wrap into, I might even talk about some of the GameStop stuff when we're talking about the GameStop model, because I think that's kind of pertinent in there. So maybe we'll move some stuff around.
Just for everybody's knowledge here, at first when Shane mentioned the GameStop model, I was a little slow today because I got up real early because of work, and the first thing that popped in my mind was some blonde Miss USA type wearing a GameStop banner across her. When you say GameStop model.
Yeah, see, we try to come up with stuff like ahead of time, so we were already starting to write the next show while we were doing the last show. And what we came up with is we wanted to talk about, how insane, if you think about it, that the GameStop's pricing model and buyback model and how all of that works. So I scribbled down the GameStop model. And then when I told Chris about it, he's sort of like, oh.
Do they have a spokeswoman?
Yeah, and then he finally kind of said, oh, model. I don't know. I guess it was more funny if you were actually there. Maybe we'll release, I've got that recorded, so maybe we'll release that on the DVD or CD, which is something else we should probably talk about at some point, too. Maybe we'll talk about that as we wrap up today.
Well, let's see what time it is.
Yeah, see how much time we've blown through by then.
Yeah, we seem to be we have a lot of people on the fence. Do they like the length, or do they not like the length? Or, especially since you mentioned the Puzzloop review, we got a lot of flack for being a little too long with that, but you know what? I think it's important. It was a good game. And a lot of our stuff we tend to talk about more than just the game. And, we had a little strategy going on and everything. We were talking about the translation. Just bear with us or fast forward, Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really funny. Everybody seems to be on one side of the fence or the other. I haven't heard anybody, most people like the length.
Yeah, most people are like, yeah, I don't care how long it is. You make it as long as you want. I'll listen to it over a week if I have to. It's like, okay, cool. And then you've got a few people that's like, well, this
Look
interview,
at
this
ADD,
review
man.
ran a little long, and you guys talk too much about this and that. And it's like, well, you can't please everybody. And right now, the majority are saying the longer the better. So, who are we to, slap around our core audience, right?
Yeah, so fiddle faddle on you.
Yeah. So you can always split up the show and listen to it in pieces. That's what a lot of people tend to do. Anyway.
So let's get on with the editorial for this week.
Let's talk about that. Unless you're under a rock or you live in no-name, middle of Arkansas nowhere, you know what GameStop is. You know what Electronic Boutique. When I say GameStop, let's make sure we get this straight. When I say GameStop, I use that interchangeably with like EB Games. Do they even have software at Tetris anymore?
No, because you know what? It used to be you had Babbage's and software, etc. And software, etc. But they kind of unified. Heck, you know what? If you want to throw another one in there, I guess you could call it a quad. Was FuncoLand.
FuncoLand. There's another one I forgot.
And I got to tell you, they're still around. We have a couple of them not too far down in Delaware here. A couple of FuncoLands. But the thing is, you go inside and it's GameStop everywhere. Banners and it's really funny. It's like they almost didn't feel like taking the signs down because they didn't feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out either. I mean, if you go to like EB Games, you can't like use your GameStop cards there.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that because I even asked that question. Not to go off track a little too much, but I don't know. Maybe somebody can answer this for us. But the guy I called, he seemed a little clueless, and he worked at the store. But when I got my my pre-order back refunded to me for my DS Lite since I had gotten it at Target, I asked the guy, this is a GameStop, but I asked the guy at EB, would I be able to use my GameStop voucher, the money, it was basically a gift card as a receipt, and I asked if I'd be able to use it there since they're the same company. He couldn't even answer me. So I don't know.
They're very confused
It's
about
goofy.
the whole thing. It's very goofy.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of the word gets out to them about what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing and what's accepted and what isn't.
That's crazy. But then,
I mean, heck, there were the two big stores when I was growing up were always, EB and Electronics Boutique. They didn't have EB at the time, and Babbage's. Babbage's came along a little later, and I know my friend was really a big Babbage's fan because they were one of the few places next to Egghead Software that used to sell, the Apple Mac games, back in the old black and white Macintosh. And that was always kind of a lot of fringe titles in there, and you paid out of the hip for them too, man. They were expensive.
I had a friend that worked at a Walden Software. Did you ever see one of those?
Yeah, yes. I remember early on. They weren't around very long, but I do remember a Walden. Yes, I do. I completely remember it. And you know what else is funny? Actually, before Electronics Boutique even came around, it was a store called Games and Gadgets.
I kind of remember that. I did live in the middle of nowhere, Washington, so we didn't actually even have any of those stores. I had to go to Seattle for that.
That was back when, these stores were the coolest because, this is back in the mid-'80s when the Commodore was in its, prime and everything. And, we used to walk in and they'd actually have like a Commodore or an Amiga out by the register. They'd actually have the Amiga, the monitor, everything hooked up facing you so you could check out. They would usually have like a slideshow showing these awesome, at the time, 256 graphics that were present on the Amiga, and 16-bit graphics. Or the little juggler guy, the CGI-looking juggler.
The classic juggler demo.
Yes. They would always have that playing. This was back in the day when you could go in, pick a game off the shelf, and say, hey, do you think I could check this out before I take it home?
Yeah, I remember that.
Even back then, you could return to a point. It depends on how well they knew you, you know? Even if you opened it. But a lot of times you would want to leave the store, they would say, sure. He would rip open the shrink wrap.
Yeah.
Stick the disc in, quote, star, quote, comma, 8, comma, 1, boom,
And 20 minutes later, you got to play.
Yeah. Give it a try. Here we go. I mean, I used to go in and have Archon matches with some of these clerks,
Yeah, exactly. Dude, let me tell you this. I got so entrenched at Walden Software because that was that was it. That was the only thing that we had in BFE nowhere, Wenatchee, Washington, was a Walden Software. And I actually got to know the guys so well, and I helped sell so much stuff for them that they gave me a Walden Soft badge. My handle, nickname, screen name, whatever the hell it was called back then, was Zan, short for Xanadu. That was sort of my login name for stuff.
Your little catchphrase.
My little catch thing. So I still have it, dude, in the shed. I ran across it the other day. Walden Soft, and it's a Zan name badge. So, I mean, I didn't even work there. And they got me this little badge printed up, and I still have that. And I'm thinking to myself, how did we fall so far from grace?
What a cool store it used to be. I mean, you felt like you really – it was just so personal, you know. I mean, I used to go in and talk to these guys, and, you know, it was never about selling or anything. They were all just legit about it. It also helped that these guys at the time weren't like 16 years old, you know.
Right.
So these were pretty much like, I mean, at the time I think I was like 12 years old, and this guy would be like almost 30, you know, and we'd be just sitting there talking about like the 64 and whatnot and what's going on. And, you know, you ended up, even though I was a kid, you know, you used to have these intelligent conversations with these people, and they would actually genuinely want to talk to you. I remember this one guy for years used to work there. I mean, he must have been in his, I don't know, almost early 50s when last time I saw him. And, you know, it's just amazing how long he was with the company. It also didn't help. It also helped that nearby in Westchester here, we had the big EB Games plant. You know, I mean, it was like a couple miles from us. So it was really cool to drive by and see this huge EB Games complex, well, electronics boutique, you know. So, but it's just a shame how far things have gone down the tubes in terms of just customer relations and just being genuinely, you know, kind and courteous to the public. But then again, I guess times have changed enough. You know, we're far from, you know, the Amiga juggler to, you know, 50 Cent on the PS2.
Bulletproof.
You know? Yeah. So the clientele these places get are a little kind of far out there these days.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of. I'll be totally honest. I hang out probably at GameStop far more than I should, so I'm one of those kind of guys that, you know, the second I leave, they're probably going, "Oh God, thank God he's left. I thought he'd never leave." Actually, you know, that's not true because I met that guy the other day. I was at GameStop. See, I told you I had stories. I was at GameStop, and there's this little fat kid. I mean, this was like right out of a cliche comic book, dude. There's this little fat kid, and the guy was there before I got there. And I could tell he'd been around for a while already that day. And then I came in and shot the breeze and, you know, got the latest gossip and, you know, showed the latest game or whatever. And this little fat kid was, like, talking about, he wanted to touch my light and he wanted to hold it and see the screen, and he was talking about this and that. And I'm like, kid, you're kind of creeping me out, and I've only been around you for like 5 minutes, you know. And then I kind of looked over at the staff, and they're looking back at me kind of like, you know, kill me.
Yes, because you're the GameStop intern. Yes,
I'm the GameStop intern. But this kid, and then when I left, the kid just like settled himself in to look at used Game Boy games or something. It's like, you know, how long has this guy been there?
Well, he probably either lives around the corner, you know. I mean, where would you rather be, GameStop or hang out at your house?
Yeah, that's true.
Or his mommy dropped him off, you know, and say, here, I'm going to go shopping. They went to
Albertsons to shop and left the kid at GameStop. I felt so bad for those guys. I'm like, you know, I almost kind of felt bad for the kid, too, because it wasn't – I remember being his age and hanging around people that were a lot older than me. Nowadays it'd be called NAMBLA. But, no, seriously, you know, when I was like 13 or 14, my friends were like in their 30s because they're the ones that could afford Amigas and all the high-end stuff. And I was kind of older for my age anyway. So now I think back, that's another thing that's changed. You know, we're totally getting off GameStop, but I got to share this one. Is, you know, when I was like 13 or 14, I used to bike up to this guy's house. My friend John, you know, I know he'll never hear this, but what a guy. This guy, dude, this guy had toys. He had like one of the first single-spin CD-ROM drives when they were like $1,500.
Right.
You know, and this is not a place of money. I came from like, you know, Hodunk agriculture nowhere, Wenatchee, right? And so I would get to my subscription to Compute's Gazette.
Oh.
And inside was this new copying cartridge called Ice Pick. And this was like going to be it. It copies everything. You know, it was the bee's knees. So I grabbed my bike because I was like 13, and I rode up to John's house. And, you know, I had my magazine in hand. And I'm like, John, you're never going to believe this. This cool thing just came out. This is the most amazing technology you'd ever hit the Commodore 64, blah, blah, blah. And he's in his bathrobe. Of course, again, I look back and I think, what did my parents think, you know? I'm a 13-year-old boy that goes and hangs out with this 38-year-old guy in a bathrobe. Nothing happened. But anyway, so I'm like, Sean, look at this article, John. Look at this. This is Ice Pick. This is going to be so cool. Dude, he reaches into his robe and pulls one out.
An Ice Pick?
An Ice Pick, not anything else. But the Ice Pick, I'm going, how the hell did you get that? I'm a subscriber. I just got this. I've never seen this ad before. And he just smiles at me. I swear to God, he worked for the mob or something, dude. Who the hell else can afford stuff like that?
You know, it's really funny because it's sort of similar to the kind of instances I had. I mean, you always knew, like, this guy. I mean, you know, like, we used to go over. I would have my Commodore at home and everything, and we would do stuff. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but I would always go over to somebody else's house, like my cousin's house, and he would have all the hot stuff. Like he would show me how to, like, take a hole puncher and, you know, punch a floppy disk, you know, to make it double-sided, you know, and things like that. And, you know, it was just really cool. And you know, I'm like, wow, how'd you know this? How'd you do this? You know, or there was a guy even in my old neighborhood that he was the only other person I knew who had a Commodore around me, and I used to go over, and it was the same idea. You know, he would always have the latest thing, and I would always have to have that latest thing as well. I didn't want to be one-upped, you know, so.
You know, it used to be that, you know,
really
you
cool.
would go into these software stores, you know, and you could get skinny. Not like, you could get the skinny. You could go in and say, hey, you know,
what's going on?
What's hot? What's coming out for the Commodore 64? What's coming out for the Amiga? You know, what's the hot bid? And these guys actually knew something.
Right.
You know, you go into your local GameStop.
Now it's, hey, you want to pre-order Madden 07?
Yeah. Hey, you got any used games to trade in?
Yeah. I see your, even though you're in shorts and a T-shirt, I see you got a lot of pockets. Do you happen to have an N64 in there you'd like to trade in?
No. Dude, that's like the two grail questions of all of these stores. Yeah. What have you pre-ordered? What do you want to pre-order? And what used games do you want to trade in?
Just calling them up is like, how
Dude,
can I
I've
help
called
you?
GameStop so many times I actually know their shtick. This is it. Thank you for calling GameStop. Insert your location here, where we buy and sell used games. This is so-and-so. Can I help you? Dude, it takes you like 35 seconds to actually talk to a human because they have to give this huge speech.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, and I started thinking about it, you know, just overall, when you go to a GameStop, I mean, this is so commonplace. And I know there's a lot of younger listeners that listen to our show. If the GameCube was your first video game system, I'm sorry for you. Because there was such a great, cool world of gaming long before this weird model showed up. And the model I'm talking about is the disposability of gaming. Back in the old days, there was no place to sell used games. People didn't even sell them. They kept them. You know,
Or
I mean, I know this is
them.
totally creepy to explain to somebody who's never lived without a GameStop.
The closest that we came to any kind of pre-selling or reselling, whatever, you know, once in a while we would trade a game. You know, if you know, obviously, you know, we weren't like today. I mean, you would accumulate so many games, but there was always that one game that you could never get because you chose A instead of B, but then your friend would have B. You know, so you would always say, well, I can't get that. I can't, that's not possible for me to get right now. Would you like to swap?
Yeah.
We used to trade games back and forth.
Right.
But then again, if you think about it, games have changed so much because most games nowadays have a beginning and an end. Whereas back in the 80s, a lot of games, you know, whatever. I mean, like Atari 2600 and television, Coleco, most of these games would just go on and on and on. They would be infinite. You know, they would never have an ending that you could say, okay, I beat Ladybug, let me throw it back in the rack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I beat Jungle Hunt.
Right, you beat Jungle Hunt, but then you played another level of Jungle Hunt where the rocks came faster.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, you don't have this whole, it's a totally different type of gaming these days. That I guess, you know, I paid $50, I beat the game on a weekend, I don't ever want to play it again, I already know what happens, I've done this, what's the point? You know? Whereas back then, you were always trying to achieve the high score or, you know, get to that high level, like at level 110. You know, it's like Tron Deadly Discs on the Intellivision. You know, back when you'd reach 1 million points and the guards would come out and pretty much you were toast instantly.
Right.
From that game ended up being, after you died then, it was always a matter, okay, I know I can get to that point, but how far can I survive after that point? You know? So the game became infinitely more challenging.
Yeah, and you know, it's really funny that, you know, but even so, I still can't get my hands around the concept of taking a game. You spend $49.95 to buy a game, you play it for the weekend, and you finish it literally on a Saturday night. On Monday, you're back at the store. Over 2 days, the product depreciated in value from $50 to $20. Literally, it went down. I mean, someone needs to do the math on that to figure out how fast that game depreciates. That's faster than a car depreciates.
Yeah.
If you drive a car off a lot, what's the number on that? Do you remember? It's like 15 or 20% immediately you lose value the second you drive off the lot.
Exactly.
Dude, you're talking about losing 50% value in 2 days.
That's like 60% at least, right?
Yeah, right. And so I'm thinking to myself, and then they turn around.
You know, it's 60% if you get out in the parking lot and open it in the car.
Right.
You know, I mean, as soon as you take the cellophane off, and that's another big thing. I don't go ahead and finish, but man.
Well, yeah. You know, basically the idea, and then to have you bring the game in, they don't even give you cash. You get store credit
because they're going to keep that money.
So money's never changed hands. What a scam! Money never changes hands. You get $20 in credit to put towards another $50 game that you're going to lose $30 on the next weekend. They turn around and make another profit on it. They turn around and sell it for $39.
And you know what the killer is? Just tonight when I was in EB Games, I'd say about 70% of the DS rack was pre-owned games.
Yeah.
You can't even buy a new game anymore. And even then, when you buy a new, quote-unquote, new game, oh, this is our last copy, let me get the box. It's already opened.
Right.
So I'm saying to myself, well, wait a minute. If in your eyes a pre-owned game is something that's been opened, and this new game, quote-unquote, has been opened, why am I not getting it for a pre-owned price?
Exactly.
Oh, well, it's never been played. How do I know?
How do you know? Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the instruction book. It looks a little bent.
Well, yeah. That happened when we took it out of the box, so we could put the box on display.
It's just ridiculous. Why wouldn't you would think that you would just? Why can't you just like get a copy of the cover of the box and just post it out there in a empty case or something?
I know a video store that did that, and I thought that was the smartest
they used
freaking
to do it
thing
all the time.
ever, man.
It's so lazy now.
And then when you'd go in and you'd buy the pre-owned discs or the pre-owned tapes from the video store,
yeah,
you got like a mint box.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Because they would always be in those plastic, it's like a contact paper or something.
Yeah. You know, so I was thinking to myself, and this is where this whole GameStop model came into play, was it's like, how did we manage to let that happen? Consumers, we shouldn't be that stupid. How did that happen? How did we end up losing 60% of a sale while GameStop sold the same game twice and made a profit both times?
Right, because you figure you paid $49.99 for that game.
Yeah.
2 days later, you take it back. They're giving you $20 for it. Okay.
And credit, store credit.
Correct. So that money doesn't even enter your pocket. They're giving you $20 to spend again. So not only are you spending that $20, but they're going to take that game that you just traded in, put it back out on the rack for like $44.99. Like for instance, tonight I was at EB Games. I was looking at Fire Emblem for the GameCube. I really like to have this game, but I'm not paying that much money for it, obviously. But I'm looking and I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if they have a pre-owned one. Maybe it'd be like $30 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's GameCube. How often do people? I figure a kid will play it over the weekend. It's barely going to be used, you know. So I look on the rack. I'm thinking maybe it'll be like $29.99. Oh, excuse me, $44.99 for the pre-owned version.
$5 cheaper.
Yeah. So basically, they're taking that same, like you said, $49.99 game. They're giving you $20 back, but then they're putting it back out again for another $44.99. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
I can't get over that. I've never once. I mean, I go to GameStop all the time, so it's like, well, Shane, if you hate the GameStop model so much, how come you go there, dude? I don't take stuff back and get. You know what? I would rather take a game that I was going to take back there and give it to my kid or to somebody else with a DS.
Yeah, or give it to some, Salvation Army thing or something.
I would actually rather do that than to let GameStop or EB or whatever, I use them interchangeably, to let GameStop whore that game out again.
Yeah.
I mean, it is truly amazing. I bought WarioWare Twisted. And this is such a great game that I almost can't, complain, but
that game's $20 new, by the way. Anybody out there with a DS Lite, pick it up.
Is Twisted $20 now?
$19.99.
That's
new.
Insane. Here's what happened when I bought it. This was a while ago. When I bought it, it was like $34.95 new.
Yeah, that's about what I paid.
Something like that.
It was worth it.
This is a Game Boy Advance game. Come on now. This is a Game Boy Advance game. It was $34.95 new. They had a used version for $29. It's $5 less. No box, no instruction booklet, nothing. Here's the cartridge, $29. And I actually paid for it because you know what? They didn't have it. Nobody had a new copy. Nobody had a used copy. There was like one used version of it, and it was $29, and I had to pay that much because that was the only way I could get the damn thing. Nobody else had it. It was out of stock. And it turned out to be such a great game that I slowly forgot about the fact that I only paid $5 less and didn't get a book or an instruction manual or a box. And a lot of people don't care about that stuff. I still do. I'm from a generation where box collecting's still kind of cool. There's value. There's value add. Apparently not.
In my opinion, the nostalgia is half of it is the box as it is. I mean, I still have my Legacy of the Ancients box, and it's just it looks like it's brand new right off. I mean, it's
damn skippy. I still have my Archon box.
Those were the greatest boxes at the time. The art and everything was just so well put together. Nowadays everything's just photoshopped in 5 seconds and thrown out there. But there was a lot of thought put into these things back in the day, and that's half the nostalgia. 20 years later, you're going to look back and remember that box. And that's one thing that's cool about the DS boxes. I mean, they're not cardboard, like the Game Boy Advance boxes.
They're
which
quality,
most people would throw out. Right. I mean, they're like little DVD cases, which are really cool. They add to the value, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when I buy, I have bought a couple used games, like when Tiger Woods was $39 for the DS, and they had a used copy for like $24.
Yeah, I paid $12.99 for that used.
That was the only up.
That and Mr. Driller were the only two pre-owned games I bought, and it was only because they were like $12.99, and I had just gotten the DS. I'm thinking, even if these aren't the greatest games, I'll try them after only $12. You know what I mean? So little Google on.
I've never ever taken a game back though. I've never taken back a game. I remember one time I thought about it, and I took back. It was some PlayStation 2 game. I'd paid. I think it was Champions of Norath, maybe. It was one of those Baldur's Gate, one of those cool dungeon crawlers. And I had paid, I think, $44.95. That was the first game I'd ever pre-ordered either, as well. I'd never pre-ordered a game. I'd never, returned software, nothing. This is the first time I'd ever done it when I entered the PlayStation 2 arena. And I pre-ordered Baldur's Gate or whatever it was. I paid $44.95 for it, and I actually went back in with it after my kid and I had finished it, because that's sort of our thing. My kid and I like playing dungeon crawlers together.
Cool.
And so I took it back, and they were going to offer me like $14.95 for it because the game had hit the greatest hits or something. And it's like, so brand new it was $20, but I paid $44 for it. It was something like that. And I basically said, no. It's more, I'll turn around and sell it to a friend for half of that, knowing that
at least it's going to get played again.
It's going to get
played. Not going to sit in some bin. And
I just sat there with my mouth hanging open. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I think I had picked up somebody had given me a copy of State of Emergency or something, which is actually kind of a fun game. And I took that back. They were going to give me $1 for it.
Oh, hey, you know what it reminds me? It's funny. I got to tell you this. My wife's got this Nintendo 64 that she had sitting in this little entertainment center for God only knows how long, okay? I mean, the thing looked like it was brand new, but it played a couple times and left there. It had GoldenEye, Rogue Squadron, and
nice.
I'm trying to remember. There was one other game. I can't really recall which one it is. Anyway, it had the two controllers and the adapter and wires, and I went out to take the trash out. After all this time, it sat here. And one night I went to take the trash out, and I'm like, wait a minute, I heard something in this bag. I don't know what compelled me to look. The Nintendo 64 was in a bag ready to go out to the trash with the cartridges and everything in it. Well, of course, I wasn't allowing that to happen.
You dumpster dive for it is what you're saying.
No, I didn't even dumpster dive.
I'm just giving you crap.
I'm just walking down the driveway with it, and I'm like hearing this. It kind of made a clanking sound, and just the way it felt, it was like rubbing against my leg as I was walking, And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what is this? And it was the whole thing in a bag, in a little white trash bag or Target bag or something, makeshift trash bag. And I'm thinking, there's no way we're throwing this out to the curb. I wasn't ever a big fan of the Nintendo 64. It wasn't for me. But I'm not going to just throw this at the curb like this. I figure, what the heck, I might as well see what they'll give me for it, because I already actually have a Nintendo 64 somewhere. I figured, let me see how much they'll give us. I mean, even if they only gave us like, $10-15 for everything, that's at least something I could put towards a DS game,
Right.
It's better than throwing it in the trash.
Sure.
And I knew on eBay they don't go for anything. I mean, it's like one of the worst systems in terms of reseller value. So I took it over to the EB Games, and I said to the guy, I said, look, how much is an N64 worth, because, it was almost thrown out to the curb, I figured it's got to be better than throwing it to the trash. And he types up in the computer, he's like, I don't think it's going to be worth much, but let me check. He's like, you might as well just throw it out the curb. It's only worth $1. And I said, well, what about with Rogue Squadron? He's like, all right,
$2.
Yeah, $3. I'm like, all right, thanks, never mind. So I'm thinking, that's not even half of a price for like GamePro magazine. I mean, come on, what the heck is this? So I took it home, and it's actually, I can't remember where I put it now, but I think it was in the trunk of my car for the longest time because she gave me a hard time. She's like, well, it's just sitting there. Why aren't you throwing it out? So obviously the wife just doesn't understand yet,
Yeah.
She plays DS. We play Dungeon Crawlers, but she just doesn't understand. You do not throw out, game systems like that,
Find
even
another
if it's
home.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, at the very least, maybe I could find somebody to give this to. There's actually somebody at work I was thinking maybe I could just say, here, why don't you give this to your kids, maybe I can see I can dig up a cheap Mario Kart, if anything, And that's what I'd rather do that than I mean, what the heck? $1?
There are starving children in Ethiopia that would beat your ass to have a Nintendo 64. They still got 2600s over there.
Yeah, there's some families that don't have any game system. I mean,
there's got to be somebody that wants that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just I couldn't do that. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not a big fan. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That's awesome. Dude. That's better than my story, man.
I felt insulted.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and then today, at the same EB, as I mentioned earlier, the manager and one of the clerks were in there. She had a disc out. I don't know what it was, but he was talking about, no, man, this is a hard-to-find game. Somebody will pay for it, but it's all beat up, she says. He said, it doesn't matter. We're putting full price, used price on it, and it'll sell, let me tell you. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't believe it. I mean, I can only imagine what the disc looked like. Beer coaster,
Exactly. Yeah, that's about what it'll be good for.
I love
that point in time.
Oh, you know what else I saw real quick tonight? It was a trip. I'd never seen this. It was a red metal tin in the GameCube section. And I went over a little closer inspection. It was like a metallic red casing, and I said, I wonder what this is. And I got up there. It said Resident Evil 4 GameStop Collector's Edition.
What?
Embroidered onto the metal. I'm thinking GameStop Collector's Edition? So it was $24.99, okay? Never mind the fact that this is pre-owned, by the way. Never mind the fact the brand new one now goes for $19.99, and well worth that, might add.
Yes.
I opened up the tin, and all that's inside is like it looks like somebody was using this thing as an ashtray. It was a Resident Evil 4 that had been through the mill, thrown in some metal tray.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, what is this? I just can't figure this store out. It is just so dirty. These stores are so dirty. They're just so discombobulated and a mess. Nothing's in the right order. You got all these crappy games. You'll get a whole row of like Madden 06 pre-owns, and the stores have just gone down the tubes. I mean, there's just no order whatsoever in these stores.
I think it's funny.
Especially EB Games. EB Games seems to be more messy than GameStop.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I mean, and you go into a GameStop, and the place is loaded with movies. That's the other thing that I can't get my
what's up
hand
with
around.
that? And I'm not even talking PSP. I mean,
we're talking DVDs.
And they're not even cheap.
They're not. I was looking at, what was I looking at the other day? There was something I was like, I'd pick that up if it was a good price. And I looked at it, and it was like almost retail. And I'm going, are you kidding me? And they've got racks, and they've got bigger racks for DVDs than for DS games.
It just really it really brings the whole store down. I mean,
it does.
It's a mess, and they got these horrible big yellow stickers on them. Half the time the boxes are shredded and frayed. If it's like a box set, like I saw the Star Wars Trilogy widescreen box set in there. It's like $34.99. It's like, hello, it's like $40 new, isn't it? And the box is completely trashed. Looked like it had the UPC thing cut out, whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is nuts. And then the one GameStop actually sells old CDs, that somebody brought in. They actually take CDs too.
Wow.
And I'm thinking half the CDs that the cases are broken, and and they're not cheap. And I'm thinking, what is this? I thought this was a game store.
Yeah, why am I seeing, Aaron Neville in here? What's that about?
Aaron Neville, good point. Because, it was like Garth Brooks, when the Thunder rolls single.
Single.
And then across the way is a whole DS section. And I'm like, dude, what
God.
is going on to this store?
Dude, I'll tell you what. I saw the most amazing thing. Speaking of which, there's a whole bunch of, how you try to figure out, like algorithms behind certain things, like the Fast Pass at Disneyland. They have a huge. We're both
Getting your
Disney
bag
whores.
checked.
We're both Disney whores, both myself and Chris and our families. And you know what the Fast Pass is, right?
We kind of just discovered this recently.
Really?
Too,
Well, for those people who may not know, Fast Pass is like this little system where you pick up a ticket and you come back to the ride between a certain window of time, and you can ride the ride and not have to stand in the big line. You get in a shorter line.
It's fantastic.
It's a useful thing. But if you ever look at these books, I actually have a book that explains all of the algorithms behind how Fast Pass works.
Funny.
And it is absolutely fascinating. Well, GameStop has a bunch of algorithms too, I found out, since I've been able to get on the inside.
Are you talking about price?
No, not price, because those are all set by corporate. But what's available at a certain GameStop or EB Games is very dependent on traffic analysis. And I only recently learned about this. Have you ever been into a store that is absolutely packed to the brim with GameCube games, but then you go to another store and they've got like half a rack? Or you go into an EB Games in the mall and there's literally a wall and a half of DS stuff, but you go into another one and you can't even find the DS stuff on the shelves. They have a marketing analysis that goes on at every store that dictates their flow of product.
Wow.
So if you go, like my GameStop has a significant amount of DS sales, probably due to me, DS sales, products, and software. So they are automatically shipped through this algorithm more DS product than, say, the one up by the movie theater, which doesn't have as much DS stuff. So their flow control of software and product is all dictated by these super secret algorithms. And just to show how unbelievably cruel these algorithms can be. This is why necessarily going to the GameStop nearest you isn't the best plan, because it may not be tailored to your particular needs.
It's probably reflective of the overall neighborhood and the clientele.
That's right.
I mean, you figure, okay, I'm going to a GameStop over by the projects, and you may find 50-cent Bulletproof,
Yeah, tons of copies of that, but no GameCube or whatever. But I went to an EB Games in the mall, a different mall. One EB Games I went to, this is amazing too, because you can tell a lot about a community by looking at what's on their shelves at GameStop and EB Games. The one store that I went to a very upscale mall, Arizona Mills, for anybody who happens to be in the Phoenix area listening to this. Arizona Mills EB Games has the absolute single best selection of DS games in this entire valley that I've seen.
Wow.
They have Electroplankton on the shelf right now.
Really?
Really. I haven't seen an Electroplankton since the day it came out.
I haven't seen Electroplankton on the shelf, period.
They've got one.
Amazing.
They have a Lost in Blue on the shelf.
Oh, well, I've seen Lost in Blue. I think they actually reprinted that.
Oh, did they? Maybe that's what it is. Because I know for a while it was really rare.
It was, but I do see them at like GameStops here and there. Yeah.
But literally, and the whole wall was new, and then below on their side was probably 30 or 40 used games.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. I mean, they have as many used games as they have new games. I've never seen that many DS games. Then you go to the Metro Center Mall, which is Gangland.
Yeah.
Gangland's EB Games. Every single Nintendo DS product is shoved on a shelf behind the counter in a glass case. Everything. The systems, every game, all the accessories are all shoved. I mean, you can't even touch them. They're inside of a glass. You know where they usually sell used Game Boy games on those racks inside the glass case?
Right.
That's where all their DS stuff is.
Where they keep the PSP memory cards and so forth.
Right. But there was no shelf space at all. None. Zero. Zip for the Nintendo DS. None.
But meanwhile, the UMD movies,
have an entire rack of their own.
Yeah, and they're just flying at the door.
Yeah, I see him. I just see him running out the door, especially that used copy of Sweet Home Alabama.
Or Stealth.
Yeah, with the bonus Wipeout demo game on it. I'm sorry. Do I sound bitter? I'm a little bitter.
You've got mail on UMD.
On UMD? Yeah, like everyone's going to be racing out for Sleepless in Seattle on UMD, right?
Yo, man, check out my PSP, man. It can play video. I've got here.
Pimps it out.
I've got here The Princess Diaries. Can your DS do this, man?
Can your DS play? I can't even do it now, dude. I'm just laughing so hard. Anyway, so I'm not even sure exactly where we're going with this whole discussion. We probably lost like half the listeners already. Like, damn it, you guys are going to talk about DS crap, or we're going to sit here and talk about...
Hey, this has been a long time coming, because I know early on I really couldn't wait to talk about just GameStop and EB in general, and just some of the things I've seen, my experiences, and I knew you've got tons of stories. But
I've got stories.
It's just, it's just nice, because I swear I never have an outlet for this stuff. I can't talk to my wife about it. It's kind of like,
my wife doesn't care.
Roll your eyes, yeah. I mean, and a lot of people that I'm sure listen to this show, it kind of reflects on them what they have to deal with all the time too with these stores. I
know there's people that are still listening are nodding, going, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I got screwed taking back State of Emergency too.
Yeah, I don't. It's just the whole point is these stores have really going down the tubes, and especially for the younger listeners, these stores, this is the worst it's gotten. I mean, I've never seen the store this bad.
I can't imagine what it'd be like to be a gamer that's never experienced anything before GameStop.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, to understand the horror that we experience, that we see in GameStop, you have to have known what happened beforehand. How bad things have degraded. It speaks volumes. I mean, it speaks volumes about the gaming industry that we're paying for games that we beat in a weekend. I mean, I don't know.
And you're dealing with stores that look like crap. I mean, even Target's.
They have tornadoes go through those places, and they look better than sometimes GameStop looks.
I was looking at the DS section at Target when I was picking up my light, and it was so nice. Everything was in nice and neat order. Everything was alphabetized. Everything had prices on them. None of them were used, and they had a great selection. I mean, they had everything there.
Yeah.
It was really, I was actually shocked. I mean, but as you said, it all depends. I mean, every store is different. But
have you noticed how Target and Walmart are giving mad props to the DS now that it's starting to get popular?
Yeah, I mean, you've actually gotten a couple. You got the kiosks set up, and they seem to actually be working. They got the recent games in there. You don't have Polarium in them anymore.
Polarium and Trace Memory.
Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed is it started off at the DS games. You start getting shoved in the Game Boy case. So you'd be like going through, where the hell are the DS things? There'd be like one row.
They'd be intermingled.
And they were intermingled. And then the other times, they would be at the bottom of the Game Boy case.
Exactly.
And they would all be shoved on their side, and there'd be, nothing. Now you go in, they actually have their own labeled case that says, Nintendo DS in big bright letters.
Yeah.
They have a whole stack of them. Everything, like you said, is nice and neat.
Yeah. Well, I guess we better wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I guess we'll move on. You know what, though, real quick, one point, I do have to give this whole pre-owned thing one little prop. I mean, one thing is that you get a lot of games out there that may be harder to find nowadays.
Yeah.
That a lot of people will end up trading in and just not realize they're how scarce they are. And you'll end up finding them pre-owned. It's really cool. I saw Space Invaders Revolution tonight pre-owned. I mean, when was the last time you've seen that new or whatever on a rack?
Hey, that EB Games at that upscale mall I was talking about?
Yeah,
they had Space Invaders Revolution.
Well, I mean, I saw actually recently at a GameStop, I saw Phoenix Wright pre-owned, so it's kind of cool in that respect, but, the worst offender of all has got to be the PS2. I mean, 80% of the wall is PS2 pre-owned. It's just disgusting. And, most of it's sports games, like rugby or, like the rugby game that nobody played.
Yeah.
Or, how many, do we really need FIFA 2004? Or do we really need Madden 03? I mean, who's playing these?
Yeah. So those games aren't made for people that keep them for
just
more than
melt them down, okay?
Yeah. Bury them with the ET cartridges, please.
Anyway,
well, I got another good GameStop story before we run off. This was part of our touch and go, but before we're talking about the GameStop stuff, I've just got
throw it in.
I got to throw it in with the rest of the stuff.
It'd be better off here anyway. Go ahead.
So it turns out, I live in a fairly decent neighborhood. I mean, it's not, it's middle class. It's nothing lowbrow. It's nothing highbrow. It's not Scottsdale, but it's not South Phoenix either. And our GameStop, if you were to tell me, if you were to ask me if a GameStop in our area would ever be robbed, I would say no. I mean, this is a nice area. It's a nice neighborhood. Well, about a month ago, I came in, and I had been out for like a week and a half because no new games had come out. And I go in, and the manager's standing by the back door, and I've never seen the manager just hanging out back there. And I said, "What are you doing away from your post?" or some crap like that. And she's like, "Oh, didn't you hear? We got robbed." I'm like, "Really?" And I said, "What the hell happened?" They got in through the roof. They broke in through the roof. They dropped themselves back into the back storeroom, clipped the alarm, and then they went into the main store, and they knew exactly which drawers had the most expensive software. They busted open the drawers, snagged all the expensive software, snagged all the new 360s, but they didn't snag any pre-owned or any of the 360s that were on their way back for defects. And believe me, there was a pile of them. So I thought that was interesting that these people, and what they got on camera, because obviously it was an inside job, somebody who'd worked at a GameStop, and this is dumb as hell. Every GameStop's built the same, so once you rob a store successfully one way, you can go to just about any other GameStop and rob them the exact same way. Don't tell me that's not the
escape plan and everything.
The same alarm system, the same cameras in the same locations. They use the same drawers. So
Crazy.
If you know where all the 360 software is in the drawers at one GameStop, you can go rob another GameStop and know exactly what to take. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But apparently, and what they got on camera was a guy's foot. That was the most that they got from all of their security.
Just be on the lookout, APB, size 11,
size
Converse,
11, hush puppy. No, but anyway, then 2 weeks later, I go in, and dude, the whole store is like totally wigged out. Everybody, like, I open the door and people are jumping and all this crap. And I'm like going, what the hell's going on in here? Who died? And I said, where's Carissa? She's like the main manager. I expected her to be there. And they're like, they were robbed at gunpoint yesterday. I'm like, what? I said, what happened? They were closing or something? No, the middle of the day at 1 p.m. with customers in the store. They came in ski masks with shotguns.
Wow.
Robbed them for, get this, if you're going to rob a store, okay, in broad daylight like a dumbass, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this was like on a Thursday. This wasn't even a pre-release day or a new software day. Wouldn't you like rob a store in like Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, man, and at least hoard all the new Super Mario Brothers
or something, right? These guys came in like on a Thursday at 1 p.m., held them up at gunpoint, and guess how much they got away with in cash and merchandise? Just take a guess.
Me?
Yeah. I'm not asking the listener. They're not going to respond.
You kind of already told me, though.
Did I already tell you this?
Yeah.
Okay, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Look, I'll play along. Hold on, I'll play along.
Okay.
$20,000.
You're going to have to go lower.
10,000.
Keep going.
5,000.
You got to keep going down.
Wow, really?
Yeah, really.
Why don't you tell us how much this little amount was? That
They were willing to rob a store at gunpoint, which is like 20-year felony charges, by the way. They robbed a store at gunpoint, and they got away with $700.
Cha-ching!
Cha-ching! $700 in cash and merchandise. That's not cash. That's the combination of cash and merchandise.
Wow.
Everybody in the store is quitting.
That's like the price of that's like walking out with a 360 premium and 2 games.
No kidding. And so I'm like, I thought this was a joke. Alan Funt was going to hop up from behind the DS and go, hey, look over there. See that camera over there? But no, I mean, the main manager, Carissa, and the guy that closed, they were like totally freaked out. They're going to be on the psychiatric couch for months now. The other two people are like, soon as Clarissa's gone, because I guess they're all loyal to her. Soon as Clarissa's gone, we're all leaving. We're all going to walk out the same day she does. And I'm going, what do you guys do? You guys can't leave. Who's going to hook me up with all my lead info? But
dude, I ain't getting shot. I ain't getting shot for Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
Dude, I might have to come back and shoot somebody for selling me King Kong. That's what I might have to do. But anyway, yeah, and then it turns out that they've been robbed 4 times. Well, 2 other times other than the 2 you already knew about.
Insane.
In the last 3 years. And I'm thinking, that's unbelievable. And it turns out, and I talked and dug a little deeper, it turns out that GameStops all over the valley have been hit. Probably because they're all built the same. They carry highly sellable merchandise. I was at a loss. I just couldn't believe it. So if you're thinking about letting your kid work at GameStop, maybe you ought to think again. You might get held up at gunpoint. I expect a Quickie Mart to get hit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
That's where you
Good
expect
day, come again.
Thank you, come again. But
you forgot your squishy.
Yeah. Yes, Apu.
And your free copy of Elf Bowling.
Yeah, bowling. Dude, they're going to start giving that away at the bottom of the 7-Eleven Slurpees. Remember they used to do that? Used to be able to get trading pogs and frickin' stickers and crap at the bottom of the 7-Eleven Slurpees.
Oh, I used to love that. You flip open the bottom of the Slurpee, you pull the thing off, and you get one of those little Lineker animation things where you'd rotate them.
Yeah.
And it would be like a Philly, it would be, it used to be the Phillies. You'd get like Mike Schmidt, and he'd have his arms back getting ready to hit a ball, and then you'd turn the coin maybe 30 degrees,
yeah.
And his arm would be extended like he just hit it,
Now you're going to get copies of Elf Bowling at the bottom.
Oh, man, look at I get Elf Bowling.
Free with your 32-ounce.
Throw that out the window.
Okay, well, now that we've managed to prattle on forever on our editorial, wow, good stuff.
Nah, it's all entertaining, I think.
I hope so. Otherwise, we're going to get a lot of bitch letters. Dude, you guys talked for an hour about GameStop. You guys got to do something about that. That's okay, though, because, just like every other electronic content, there's always a fast-forward button, there's always a stop button.
That's right.
That's what I keep telling
putting
parents.
Little chapter skips.
Just turn it off if you don't like it.
Let's change stations.
Yeah, just turn the channel. No, anyway, so that kind of wraps up. Again, this has been a long time coming. You guys are just lucky we haven't gone over this in previous shows, because we've both been just chomping at the bit to talk about how GameStop and EB Games piss us off. So.
Yeah, the whole them taking a quote unquote new game and then it's all opened anyway and trying to sell me for a new price even though it's been opened. That's what really gets me.
Yeah, when I bring it back open, I get 50% credit.
Exactly.
When you open it and I have to pay full retail price, what's that about?
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
I don't like them apples.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also in our editorial commentary, we promised to talk to you about screen protectors. And the reason we want to talk about screen protectors is along with one of the other great questions we get asked all the time, which we're going to talk about at the end of the show. We got to divide this stuff up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is do I need a screen protector? And if so, what should I buy and why?
Right. And now that I've gotten my DS Lite and have experienced the need for a screen protector for it, I'm happy to say I've tried the 2 different big brands that I know Shane's already tried, and what he was always recommending me to try, but I had actually had to Hori at the time, were the Pelicans. So I got the DS Lite, and obviously the first thing I wanted to do is I got to shield this thing. I want to get some kind of protection on it, because when you're dealing with a game such you see all these arguments. What do you need protection for? It closes in on itself. That's great. It closes, but you're not playing it when it closes. You know what I'm saying? I hate that stupid excuse. Mine's fine. I've had mine for a year. I'm like, that's great, but have you played Owenden? Have you played WarioWare Touched? Have you played Rub Rabbits?
Rub Rabbits is a good example.
Most recently, have you played Magnetica? I mean, you should see my old DS touchscreen from playing Magnetica. And what's a riot is, from the types of streaks and patterns, you can actually tell what games the scratches originated from.
That's absolutely right.
And Meteos. I mean, it's in my opinion very important, especially if you plan on keeping this thing. Then again, as we just discussed in our lengthy editorial, nowadays people will probably buy DS Lite, say, "Oh, I'm going to take it back and get something new." So it may not matter to them, but to me, I'm going to hold on to this for a while, you know, at least until the next version of the DS comes out, I'll sell it. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Look at it this way: you wax your car, right? You don't have unprotected sex, right? I mean, let's just think about some real common everyday things here. When you wash dishes, do you put gloves on?
No.
Oh, well, screw you. When you wax your car, right? If you're not in a monogamous relationship, you wear a rubber, right? I can't understand why people would consider the concept of using a touch screen with a stylus, plastic on plastic, where you wouldn't want to put a screen protector on it.
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking mainly the bottom screen here. I really
screw the top screen.
Top screen's worthless.
You're not touching that unless you're an idiot. And everybody who buys a DS, the first week you do try to touch the top screen. That's just part of the deal.
You get over it quickly.
But you get over it quick.
We're going to discuss real fast. I've noticed a lot of forum discussion. It comes up time to time, even though it's been talked about before, especially now at the on the eve of the DS Lite distribution.
That's right.
People
are going to want to know.
We're going to need some fresh information. The first thing you're going to see when you pick up this DS Lite at either EB or GameStop, now that they're one merged company, you're going to see the GameStop Write and Protect pack, which is the one that Shane had picked up early on. Now, you're going to see it's going to say DS Lite specifically. It's in a red packaging. It comes with a top and bottom screen protector.
And one or two, what is it? One or two white styluses, like two.
One. It comes with one.
One white stylus. Okay, I bought two of them. That's
one thing that drives me crazy, though, it doesn't come with one of those little cloths. Mine didn't come with a cloth, but it came with this weird little piece of cardboard called soft card. And at first I'm like, what's this for? And then it dawned on me, it's to kind of push the bubbles out, when you lay these things down. Now, the Pelican DS Lite protectors, they have, as Shane has said before I even got them, just realized they're going to be a snug, tight fit. And they are. If you don't get this dead on, flop it on exactly, the thing's going to be all over the place because it takes up 100%, maybe even 101% of the space on the touch screen's face. So what I would recommend is just to give it a slight millimeter vertical cut down the side and maybe try to round the edges off with a couple of snips. That works really well. These protectors actually are pretty decent. The only flaws I saw were it kind of tends to make the screen a little darker than my old Horis did, but there's no residue, and they had a really nice glass feel when you ran the stylus over it. And for $4.99,
one more thing before we move
on. The stylus is actually pretty decent. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I see you're wrapping that up. One thing that's important: if you had the original DS. It looked like it was like in a Nintendo colored container. There was an original Pelican Write and Protect that came for the DS that some of your stores may still have. Ours don't have any, but yours may still.
Yeah, I saw one tonight.
You don't want those. You want the ones that are labeled with GameStop all over it. And like Chris said, it's a red and black box. And the reason I say this is because the original Pelican screen protectors definitely have an opaqueness about them that is different than the new ones. Like Chris had pointed out on the forums before, for those of you who hadn't seen the forums, the older Pelicans aren't nearly as glassy and crystal clear as the new ones. The new Pelicans, which by the way, doesn't matter that they say GameStop all over them, they're actually Pelican protectors. They are very, very transparent. Like Chris said, there's just a slight tinge of darkness. Honestly, when I'm at like brightness 3 or 4, I don't notice it. When you turn the brightness down,
when you boot up the system originally, when you have the two white health screens, the whole thing's white. That's when you really notice it. Yeah. Once you boot up something like Meteos or Magnetica, you're really not even going to tell the difference.
And it's so silky smooth. It's just incredible.
It's actually very, very nice. I mean, it's something good to pick up. I mean, for $4.99, plus you get a pretty decent stylus.
The stylus is decent, right?
I mean, it looks pretty much dead on. Unlike the older styluses they had for the old DS, where it was like one big piece. It seems like the tip is a separate piece for the Nintendo branded ones.
Yeah.
This one is actually like that. It's got a clear tip, and then the body is white. It's almost like two different pieces. It really is a decent little substitute stylus, but. You can. One other thing, real quick, before I forget, is I've actually seen these same screen protectors at Best Buy as well, but they're listed as the Pelican and VisiShields.
Right.
And they're $5.99, and it's the same deal, except you don't get the spare stylus, but you do get a little cloth, which personally I would take the stylists. And
you probably got a cloth already.
Just get a microfiber pad from 3M, from like Walmart or something. They're like $2. I mean, they're great for glasses and everything else. I stick one in my case anyway for my DS in case I wipe the fingerprints off. But when you get your DS Lite, if you want something quick and easy, get the Pelicans. Like I said, it's a tight fit. You may want to give it a little trim.
I would definitely trim it.
Yeah.
And if you dink up that bottom protector, now I never use top protectors. If you dink up that bottom protector, you get a bunch of dust underneath it. You get your grimy paw prints all over it. You can use the bottom one as a training tool to just get you trained up on how clean it needs to be, how to lay it down, how much you need to cut, right? And then you can take the top protector, which is a little bit bigger, trim that out, and then use that as your bottom one. So you really get two shots at it.
Yeah,
if you're not
it's the same
interested in putting
material.
the top screen on.
Same material. I mean, the Horis are a different story.
Yeah.
They're two different types of plastic, I think. It's a lot more rigid for the top screen. And also that it's got like some kind of UV coating. I wouldn't recommend it. It really darkens the screen. But overall, I think the Horis are the better way to go. The problem is that the older Horis are the ones I'm talking about. The newer Hori DS Lite ones, which come in like a yellow-green packaging, the verdict's still out on them. I've heard some early reports that they got some kind of residue problems. Why, I don't know, because the original Horis didn't have this. It was a static cling, kind of like a window decal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what I have on my DS Lite now, and it looks fantastic. No trimming or anything. It fills up about 95% of the screen, so you have maybe like I don't even know what it is, maybe a half a millimeter, maybe.
Yeah.
It's nothing, but you don't even notice it once the system's on. Where you can actually lift up the edges. But it's fantastic. If you can get a hold of the older DS Hori protectors, I would definitely go for them. In the meantime, these Pelican ones seem to be, there's nothing wrong with them. Another thing is, unlike the Horis, the Pelicans only have a plastic cellophane over top the one side. So as soon as you take them out of the package, immediately make a line right to that touch screen because you're going to be charged and drawing in dust, unlike the Horis where you can kind of peel it off and then apply it.
Yeah,
so
it's
a little hard to explain.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to explain. You'll know. My recommendation, as Chris said, would be you pick up your light, grab the set of Pelicans, put it on, and if it bugs you, if you've got problems, if you couldn't get all the dust out, if you just
Scotch tape
had
is good
problems,
for that too.
and you can't live with the light sheen that it gives over the screen, go ahead, because you can only get the Horis online now. They don't even sell them anywhere local anymore.
Yeah, if anything, EB was the one that was selling them, and if you can find them, good luck. They're usually behind the register in the glass case, but they're pretty much gone for now. They were always kind of hard to get anyway.
So you can plan on spending somewhere right around $8 to $10 to either import them or buy them from an online source. They seem to be very plentiful. I bought mine from an Amazon.com merchant.
Reseller. Yeah.
It was like $5.75, and then they rob you with like $4 shipping and handling.
Which is ridiculous because it's 77 postage.
It was 77-cent postage. But in any event, you can still get them. And if you're really, really creeped out about wanting to have the absolute best protectors with the absolute, Personally, here's what happened. I went ahead and ordered a set of Horis for it, and then I bought the Pelicans when I got the light. I put the Pelicans on, and I had such a good, I got it so well put on that there's no way in hell I'm taking it back off. And the tinge doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So what'll probably happen is if I ever scratch this one up too much or one of the edges start peeling, then I'll pull it off and put the Horis on. But for now, I'm satisfied. So, and I'm fairly discriminate. So you may find that the Pelicans are just what you want. The new Pelicans are far better than the old ones.
Yeah, big improvement. I mean,
Big
the
improvement.
old ones. I mean, I've even heard customers at the store discussing how they kind of leave like a milky, filmy, sticky substance after you
Now, I didn't experience that myself, but I
I
have
don't
heard a lot of
understand it.
people talking about
Yeah,
that.
because
so.
some people are saying that about the newer Horis as well.
Yeah,
but
see,
we
that
don't
just
know for
drives me-
sure.
That just makes me mental when.
It doesn't make any sense because they work perfectly fine with just like that static charge.
Yeah,
you know?
don't break it if it already works.
Right. I would highly recommend getting them. I mean, for $4.99, if anything, you're getting an extra stylus too, and it's a really nice little substitute. So
Definitely. It's worth the money. Just pick it up while you're there. Trust us. We wouldn't steer you wrong. It's $5.
And I do have to say the Hories they're a little, maybe a slight darker, but compared to the Pelicans, they're a lot crisper and clearer. I mean, there is a difference. The Hories really are a better looking screen. But
just
in the
harder
meantime,
to get them.
Yeah, go for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there you go, folks. That'll sort of wrap up our editorial and our talk about screen protectors. We always recommend them. We always recommend picking up something to protect that screen. It's going to help protect your private party resale value.
Especially when you want to, if somebody wants to try it out, if you want to introduce somebody to the DS, they might not even realize it. And,
exactly.
It's easy. You don't have to worry about them scratching up the screen.
Yeah. Some people have heavy hands. What can I tell you?
Yeah. If your dog wants to play. Yeah.
Yeah. Set the dog out. The dog is playing Nintendogs.
Yeah.
For reviews this month, we have Big Brain Academy, which everybody's chomping at the bit for, and probably half the people have already fast-forwarded to already. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the U.S. release of Puzzloop Magnetica.
Shunkin
Puzzloop. So we're going to talk about those for our reviews this episode. Do you want to just tackle Magnetica first and get that out of the way, and then we can dedicate our time to
Sure. I mean, Magnetica is out, besides, once again, the name, but we won't go into that again. It's here. It's an English version of Puzzloop. You're getting the same game minus the GBA connectivity to the GBA version of Polarium, which was apparently was released in Puzzloop in Japan. I think the UK is eventually getting the GBA version of Polarium, maybe sometime before 2010.
Yeah. Sometime between now and your death.
But I don't know if America's getting it. I would say obviously not if they took it out of Magnetica. So
yeah.
I think it added some kind of like level play. I really don't know what the extent of that was. Otherwise, it's the same game. You've got the Rumble feature, the demo play. You could send a demo out. You got the single play card, multi-card. It's all there, except it's in English.
It's worth $30. That was the question we got recently. Is it
$29.99. It's a good game. I mean, it could be that I just really like it. A lot of people, I mean, if you really like puzzle games, I got to tell you, between this and Tetris, it's really hard to decide which is the king. If Tetris didn't have the Wi-Fi online, Magnetica would probably be on top. But,
and for those who are interested in getting our original Puzzloop review, it's still online. It may not be for much longer. And on our March 7th edition of the show, we actually did a full import review on that. And we do still have...
it was quite a review, too.
It was a great review. It was a great review. So if you want to know the whole deal about Puzzloop and Slant Magnetica, then go ahead and pick that episode up while it's still online and hear the whole review. And it's pretty much, the
because I don't want this game to get lost in the loop. I mean, there's so many games coming out this year, and I'm glad that this is out now because it's kind of a slow moment, Yeah,
it's a good time to come out.
Yeah, because it's a really good game, and I think a lot of people are going to pass it by based on the stupid name, and it's just not a real flashy-looking game. But the gameplay is fantastic. The multiplayer is fantastic. It's got demos. You can send a demo to your buddy. It's also by a really cool group of guys over at Mitchell, Japan, who I'm hoping will hear this and release Buster Brothers DS. Please. And, let's support that. Even though I didn't like Polarium.
I'd like to support that sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay, well, our main review this month is Big Brain Academy, which I, for one, have been waiting for ever since I heard it was coming. It has been on the tip of my lips because I thought Brain Age was a lot of fun, and this was supposed to be, how would you explain it? This was supposed to be more...
I look at it as both games being opposite sides of the bookend.
They're complementary to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we've been waiting for this, and because Brain Age was a lot of fun, it was very well done. The inexpensive price was great, and of course Sudoku in there still has not been beat yet.
No.
So we had high hopes for Big Brain Academy, and of course we went ahead and picked that up so that we could review it for you. And just to give an overview, Big Brain Academy is again a set of about 15 different types of puzzles that fall into 5 different categories. Things like compute, analysis, identify, memorize, and think. Those are the 5 categories.
Yeah, good, man.
Not bad, huh? I got all those. I guess I've been building my brain weight.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, so you take a test, much like Brain Age, where it tells you how heavy your brain is. Of course, there's absolutely no scientific stuff behind it, but it's a milestone that you can actually work against to try to get a bigger, heavier brain. So you take a test, and they give you a random assortment of these types of puzzles. You solve them, and then it gives you a brain weight, and you can move along from there and try to better that score. You can also play a multiplayer game, which we're going to get to in a minute, or you can just practice in all of the 15. There's nothing unlockable that I've been able to find. Everything is up front, which is actually fairly decent of them. And you play, like I said, there are 3 categories. There are 5 main categories, 3 puzzles in each category. And the games range anywhere from very simple things like almost like games of concentration, all the way up to doing some really wacky stuff, such as
there's a lot of personality in this game, a lot of weird, little characters and little things that really liven it up. It's not as cold and black and white like Brain Age was.
Yeah, this has a little more
color
broad
and personality
appeal.
going on.
Yeah, there's lots of, for example, in one case, they one of the memorizes, they show you a certain set of cards, little animals on cards or symbols. And then after you've had a moment to look at them, you'll tap the memorized button saying you're ready to be drilled. And then they'll take one or more of them away, and you have to identify which ones they took away. And, the animals are kind of animated. They blink or they'll wiggle their tail. Or, there's something more charismatic about the game than Brain Age was. Much more, shall I say, juvenile friendly. You could tell that this one was sort of made to be a little more all-encompassing. That's not to say that the puzzles are easy.
It almost makes me say that, Brain Age was, obviously the lowest Brain Age you were able to get in Brain Age was 20. That meant you were,
20
at the top of your game,
Yeah.
Your brain was fresh, young, and vibrant, whatever, or full of vigor, and vigor.
Bigger.
And with this, it's almost like 20. You had to be at least over 20 to really appreciate that game. Because obviously, if you're 15, your brain's going to come out to be 20. You're thinking, well, wait a minute, my brain's old.
Yeah, I'm old.
Whereas this game is the kind of the opposite. It's judging its size, its mass.
Yeah.
So I think this is mainly for the people who are under 20 crowd. Although I had no problems playing this game. I mean, it was easily accessible for I think any age, but it was more so than Brain Age was. I mean, Brain Age was more geared towards the 20-something and up, whereas this is more for the higher teens and downward, But, between the characters looking kind of juvenile, like you said, and, little goofy little characters and, little things like that. And every game, or every little teaser kind of has its mild variations, where you had that memorized, where you have to remember which animal when it's flipped over. And then the one that I thought was pretty cool is the one that actually had the animals make the noises.
Yeah.
And you had to associate, like, the lion growling or the roaring or the elephant, making his trumpet sound, and
yeah, it's sort of like Simon. They would have the animals go like meh, meh, moo, moo, meh, meh, roar, and then you'd have to duplicate that.
Right, in the right combination and so forth.
So that's one of the examples. Some of the other ones, some of them are very devious. If you ever played the mini games in Super Mario 64, there's one where you have to guide Mario, I think down to the star or down to the coin, and you use your stylus to draw a line to change his direction, to move him down this path. That game makes an appearance here.
And you know what? That took a little time to figure out for me. I don't know about that with you, but I knew what I had to do, but I was trying to figure out how this game wanted me to do it. Like, I knew I had to draw on the bottom screen, but I'm thinking, okay, am I leading my guy to the top, or is it the guy from the top falling to the bottom? So
I happily rolled right into it because I played a lot of that in Super Mario 64. It's like, oh, cool, Super Mario 64. But then, after you play it for a while, they throw 2 animals on the top. And you have to get them both down to their destinations. And they have different destinations.
It's crazy.
That added a whole different flavor to it. For example, they start off very simple, and you're sitting there going, this is kind of gay, right? So it's like, so they'll show you a scale. And there's a snake on one side of the scale and a hippo on the other side of the scale. And the hippo's obviously got the weight advantage, and so the scale's tipped towards the hippo. You're supposed to touch on the bottom selection of items, which is the heavier one. Well, you hit the hippo, and you're going, this is a little too easy. And then they throw another one up, and they show you another two
a
animals.
bird
and you're
or
going,
something.
okay, this is
Alligator.
pretty easy.
Yeah.
Then they throw up several scales showing you all sorts of different animals, and you have to say, okay, the snake's heavier than the hippo, but the hippo's lighter than the bird, so is the sheep heavier or lighter than the bird? You're sitting there going, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so that's heavier
And meanwhile,
than that.
you got a little timer in the bottom ticking down. I mean,
right, and your brain weight will suffer, depending on how long it takes you to solve these things.
Plus, you have to try to get as many as you can before the timer runs out.
Exactly.
And obviously, the faster you go and the more you do, the harder it gets and the more involved it gets. The one that always gets me is the ones where you got to count the cubes.
Yeah, the cube counting
Some
ones
of them
sound
are
so
just
easy, and then you get your butt kicked.
Yeah, I mean, it's really ridiculous because you got to imagine how many cubes are underneath the other ones that are on top of it.
Exactly.
And it just gets way too difficult.
It
And then
gets
you have
crazy.
the ones where you got to connect the dots.
Dude,
Which
I like that one. That is really,
starts
really
out
hard.
So simple, but then you can the images can be reversed, and that's what
mirrored,
throws you off.
flipped.
The tennis racket one that took me a second.
And then what they'll basically do is they'll show you like a dot to dot, and then they'll take 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the lines out of it. You have to recreate it on your screen. Well, that sounds easy until they flip it or rotate it or mirror it, and you're sitting there going, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. Okay, I got that figured out. Then what they do to completely throw you is, not only will they take away the lines that you need to draw, but they'll take away some of the ones you don't need to draw. So you start losing your frame of reference. It's insane. So the puzzles, while they seem to have very limited scope and depth, the higher up you get, the harder you play it, the more deeply the puzzles are ingrained.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's almost the best way to put it to me overall. This game is think of WarioWare, but with brain puzzles.
It's kind of like WarioWare. It really is.
It's the only thing I could think of offhand to compare it to, in that you have timed, quick little puzzles that you have to use your brain to actually go through. Instead of shoving timing a tissue going up somebody's nostril like in WarioWare, you're going to have to be timed on actually typing in a answer to a math problem.
Yeah, some of those are evil. They have ones where they have like textual-based questions. 1 + 1 is, and then you hit the number 2. But then
you
they
actually
start
type them out on the calculator. This is a lot different than the one in Brain Age where you're just drawing freehand the letters or numbers. In this, you're actually, you have. It's almost like using, Windows calculator.
Yeah, exactly.
Except with a stylus.
But then later on, you're sort of going, oh, 1 + 1 is 2. That's nothing. Then it's like 4 × 6 is whatever. And it's like, okay, whatever, blah, blah. So you type that in, and then they start giving you. Then they start layering them up. 11 + 7 - 6 is, and they're saying, oh, okay, wait a minute, I got to think about that one. And then they really screw you up because they'll take stuff out of the middle of the equation. 7 + blank = 12. So it makes your mind start tuning a different way as you move up. Now, we've talked about kind of the good sides to this game. I mean, we've kind of given you an idea what the puzzles are like and whatnot. But there's a couple of things that are sorely missing from this that Brain Age had, such as keeping track of your stats. One of the cool things about Brain Age was that you can look back over the past week, 2 weeks, month, and see how you've improved with a standard little line graph. Well, there is no historical data inside of Big Brain Academy, which
no
I
daily
thought was
stamps or anything like
yeah.
that.
There's no stamps. There's no real sense of progress other than the fact of getting your brain to be heavier. And
it also tells you. It'll also give you a what do you want to call it? Like a profession. It'll try to relate you to how smart you are based on, a profession or a job or something. Like at one point, it told me I was as smart as Michelangelo.
Really?
Or
Yeah, I didn't get
it told
that.
me, it would tell me the little guy, whatever he is. I don't know. He almost looks like a pituitary gland with a graduation cap. Okay, he'll pull out a little wand and tap on your brain, and then your weight will drop down. Boom, boom, boom. He'll say, "Very good. You're akin to a museum curator." And I'm like, "Okay."
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
I think I got hot dog vendor a couple of
The
times.
bottom
That's
line
how
is,
bad I did.
the features in this game aren't anywhere close to Brain Age in terms of keeping track of how you've improved or how much you've degraded in terms of gameplay. You know, I mean, it's missing a lot of that. You don't
it's
have
not
a
as
little
clever.
stamp. Yeah, it isn't. It's not as much of a complete package.
Yeah. And like Chris said, you know, we were talking about it offline. He said, you know, it would be great if these two were for sale in a $30 package where you could buy them both for $30. That would be kind of the sweet spot for these.
Yeah, one card, you know, 2 different games. You get a menu. You pick what one you want to go into, and that would be fantastic.
That would be a good deal. Now, there's another aspect of this that we haven't talked about. And me, I'm a multiplayer gaming slut when it comes to the DS. Chris doesn't have nearly the opportunities that I have because I have a lot of people at work that play DS. So instead of going out and having a smoke break, we will sneak into the wiring room and we will throw down, you know, 15 or 20 minutes of whatever game we happen to be playing.
Meteos.
Yeah, we've been through all of them. We've been through Meteos. We've had Mario Kart, Puzzle Loop. Most of the 2-player ones we don't play because there's like 3 or 4 of us now.
Metroid Pinball.
So we play Pinball. We play
Tetris.
Mario Tetris. And so we were all eager to sit down and throw down a big brain. And I played with my wife the first day. We played a 2-player game. And I will be totally honest with you, 2 players is not where this game works out. When I went to work, however, we played 3 and 4 players. And this isn't bad. I will tell you right now, the single card download is ungodly long.
Wow.
You want to play with people that have the card. Because this is horrible wait time. That's the first problem. The second problem is of course, that you can set up parameters for each game. And just like the mini games in Super Mario Brothers, the new Super Mario Brothers, you can actually say, I want to play to this weight. So you can play up to like 50 grams or 100 grams. That's how much the round is worth. The first person to 300 grams wins. So you can say, okay, I want this round to be worth 50 grams. The first one to 50 wins. And I want to have this much time limit or no time limit, blah, blah, blah. You set up the parameters and you play. Whoever gets it first gets a full 10 grams. Whoever gets it second gets like 5 grams. Then the third person, if they get the puzzle, they get 2 grams or 3 grams. So at the bottom of the screen, you've got these little pegs that look like they're from Life. Remember the game Life where you had little pegs in your car?
Sure.
They had these little pegs, and the pegs travel up and down this path, showing you where you're at from 0 to 50, 0 to 100, or whatever. And I'll tell you what, with 3 or 4 players, the game shines quite a bit. There's a competitive nature about it. There's a point where the games, as you're playing, the game starts getting so hard that even if you're in the lead, then they start getting puzzles that are hard enough where it starts dropping you down. There were some times that we were playing 100-gram puzzles instead of 50s because we wanted it to last a little longer. It lasted a long, long time because I'd get up to like 80 grams, I'd screw up, drop down to 70, and you would have this makeshift bounce back and forth thing going on. And on some puzzles, it was great to play at 100 because it gave the length of time to play proper. But eventually we started playing games that it's like 100 grams was just too much. You know, we were there for like 15 minutes playing the same set of puzzles, because none of us could get to 100.
It starts to drag on a little bit.
And it starts to drag. So there's a balance problem. I should be able to set it for 50 for every game and get some form of similarity in terms of time play, but it doesn't work that way.
You know, that kind of sounds like, it almost sounds like to me similar to how Metroid Pinball works. And that
it does.
You have a set
like
amount.
That, yeah.
And that's one thing that always bothered me about that is you couldn't really. It's just the opposite, I guess. I was always wishing you could change the amount of score that you got to reach. You know, because 100,000 just didn't seem like enough.
It went too fast.
Yeah.
So, and every time you lost a ball, you lost like what? You had to go back to wherever the last person was.
And then if you got one of those little artifacts, that was an instant. What was it?
50 grand.
50,000. So it was like, forget that.
So it wasn't. It's not very well balanced. But once you are aware of which games are like that, we started figuring it out. So when we would get to a certain one, like the one where you got to take all the shapes and try to make another shape out of them.
Yeah, right.
That one, dude, we had a bad time with that. Playing the 3 of us. So we figured out that when we play that game, we play 50 grams. When we play the drawing the patterns, we played 100 grams because it was more suitable. But that is kind of an annoying thing until you get used to it. But yeah, we had a good time with it, and we still play it. It's one of our quote throwdown games, and we still like it and play it.
Would you be playing it like a year from now?
That's probably not. Probably not.
I mean, like something like Mario Kart and Tetris, you're going to be playing that forever.
That's right. You're going to always play that.
This is something that I could see. You're going to probably say, okay, it's new, let's play, and then kind of like, do you play Pokemon Troze anymore?
The problem with Troze is it only lets you play 2 players.
Yeah.
So we don't tend to play a lot of the 2-player only games. When there's only 2 of us, we do still throw down Troze.
Yeah.
Because that's a great 2-player game. It's very frantic, but there's almost always a third person, and we hate to lock somebody else out, so we go with Tetris or Mario Kart or, one of those games.
Anything with the diverse.
But with regards to Big Brain Academy, what really makes this really sad is it's $19.99. It's $20, and if you use my methodology of pricing your entertainment value against the value of movie dollars, which is $4.50 an hour because that's what you pay when you go see a movie. You're talking about needing 4 or 5 hours of gameplay on Brain Age to justify buying it. Or I'm sorry, Big Brain Academy. Can't believe you let me slip with that. So you really only need 4 hours. I've already gotten that out of it. I mean, I can honestly say I've gotten my $20 out of Big Brain Academy already, just from the 2 or 3 days of mega throwdowns that we had.
Yeah, multiplayer alone, sure.
Multiplayer alone, we've gotten more than our money out of it.
But take out the multiplayer aspect.
Take out the multiplayer. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you've got kids, and I know a lot about this. I'm going to tell you another story like this later on. But if you've got kids, and one of the things that you want to do is help give them something edutainment on the DS, this is a good fit. I would definitely say if you're one of those parents that's like, well, I don't want my kids to play too much video game every day. I want them to get something
video
practical.
Games are bad for you.
Video games are bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But I know people that like to restrict the amount of time that their kids play, and I understand that. Nobody knows your kid better than you do. But I know a lot of parents that say, okay, you play your Brain Age, you play all your events in Brain Age, and then you can play some Chronicles of Narnia or whatever. So the parents are using this as an educational tool. As an educational tool, I think this is a good tool. I think that if you're a parent and you'd like to get your kids something that's entertaining, but they'll still get something out of it, yeah, I'd say this is a good purchase.
Yeah, that much I will agree with you.
To me, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially like if your kids have trouble with multiplication tables, Brain Age is great for that because of the calculation piece. You will eventually learn what frickin' 8 times 6 is. Eventually you'll learn just through drilling over and over again.
See, that's the thing that I have with this is the problem I'm having with this game is the fact that Brain Age exists. It came out first and it's the same price.
Absolutely. If you have to choose between the two.
A lot of people have been asking us, which one is it? We need to know which one to buy.
Yeah.
Or if I have Brain Age, do I need this?
Right.
And those are the things that we've been getting a lot of hits for. So, I mean, personally, I think if you already have Brain Age, I would say skip this game.
Yeah, go try a demo. I mean, you can actually
try the demo.
You can download the demo off the DS Download Station Volume 2, which will be hitting all
from Touch and Go, by the way.
Yeah, this will be. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't bother getting into details.
No. Add that in there.
Try it out. Try out the demo. See if it rubs you right. There's some people I think this will rub very, very well, and other people go, God, Brain Age is so much better. And with Brain Age, of course, you've got Sudoku.
Brain Age will be on that demo station too, by the way. I mean, they're going to both be on.
Demo both of them. So try them out and see which one rubs you right. I'm telling you, for the most part, most people are going to say Brain Age.
Yeah.
Big Brain Academy, I like the concept. I think some of the puzzles are very good. I don't think that what's wrapped around the puzzles is very good. I think the puzzles themselves are very cool and they're very fun, and some of them are just downright hard, and that's good. That makes you think. But the style, the panache that Brain Age has wrapped around it, the doctor telling you jokes, the being able to track your progress over time, the unlockables, the different things that you strive for, Brain Age oozes with style. Big Brain Academy is more warm and friendly, but it doesn't have that style and class to it.
It also doesn't have a lot of the meat.
It doesn't have a lot of the meat, and it doesn't have Sudoku. Honestly, to be totally honest with you, they should have thrown Sudoku on this too. The same exact thing that's in Brain Age, they should have put in this. And then I could have probably turned around and recommended this.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. I think I would have said throw Sudoku in this and give 100 different levels. I don't want the same.
Right, no, you're right, absolutely. That would be
you don't
the
want
right
the same thing. Because, if you think
I want the
about
same engine, though. I want the same...
Right, exactly. But give us 100 different puzzles.
Yeah, another 100 puzzles would have worked out. Something. We needed... Brain Age, honestly, I'd have paid $20 for that version of Sudoku that's in Brain Age alone. So everything in Brain Age is like gravy to me. This one doesn't have anything to make the rest of the game gravy,
Yeah, that's the problem. The other thing that's really bothersome is all you're getting here is 15 games. So far, I have not seen any unlockables.
No.
Well, they're not even games. They're 15, mini teaser puzzles. You're going because you got 5 categories and 3 different games per category. Sure, that's more than Brain Age had, but I think the Brain Age teasers or puzzles were actually, I don't know, they were a little more interesting to me actually. I can't explain why. These are more colorful and more, I guess, personable, and they have more character to them. But the Brain Age ones, they're black and white, and they didn't have as much going on, but they had more depth to them. I don't know what it is. There's something about being able to write the number 9 or the number 8 or write in the letters, and
that's something interesting that Big Brain Academy has no handwriting recognition and no microphone work. So
that's right. It doesn't have any microphone.
No,
work.
A lot of people found the word blue in Brain Age to be a real pain in the butt.
Blue.
But a lot of people found that annoying. But then when you saw Big Brain Academy, you go, wait a minute, I don't have to talk in here at all. There's no reading aloud. Okay, I guess I'm okay with that because I was kind of pissed about the blue. But then you start going, hey, wait a minute, there's no handwriting recognition in here either. And there's no Sudoku. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because at least you had. See, this is what sums it up. Brain Age. Okay, it's 15 minutes a day. Even they say, train your brain in minutes a day. It's basically about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's done. And then you got your progress charts. You got all these little things backing up the whole entire program, which this game, as we said, does not. And even at the end of the day, when you're done playing with Brain Age and you've gone through all the little brain exercises, at least you have Sudoku to fall back on.
Right. You could fill up the rest of your day, the rest of your time.
So anyway, to wrap this up, what would you give Big Brain Academy overall as a score?
Well, this is one of those tough ones. Because initially
I agree with you. It is tough.
Nothing worthwhile is easy. Originally, I was kind of looking forward to this so much that I was thinking that maybe my hype got the better of me, and I was thinking, if you don't already have Brain Age, or you've already got Brain Age and you've got a couple extra bucks, then I might recommend it. But overall,
but then again, you got to realize Magnetica is also out this week.
That's right. I am going to give this. It doesn't suck. I've seen far worse games. Elf Bowling. There's far worse games on the DS to buy than Big Brain Academy. But as Chris likes to point out each show, there are tons of better games. Right now, for another tenner, you can get Magnetica. Right? So you've got Brain Age. You're saying, do I get Big Brain Academy or throw a few more bucks in and get Magnetica? There's no question. You get Magnetica. It's a far better game. Now, if you're a parent, if you're into this sort of thing, try the demo. I'm giving it a level stylus. It's not bad enough. It's not Elf Bowling. Dude, Elf Bowling set the new standard for low software. This is not even close to as bad as Elf Bowling. But to see, like, Magnetica Point Blank is coming out in the middle of the month, there's so many places to stash your cash that, for me, even at $20, I'm going to say Big Brain Academy is one of those things you got to try before you buy. And if I can't recommend it outright and I say try before you buy, I got to go with a level stylus. Chris, your thoughts?
Okay, between the two games, Brain Age is the one that you're going to want to get. Right off the bat.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you right now. Big Brain Academy isn't going to factor in between the two. When you see them on the rack, go for Brain Age if you have neither of them. If you already have Brain Age, you're not going to want this. This game, I'm sorry. There's not enough value here even for $20. It's not a bad game, but maybe for $10 or just whatever. I'm not recommending it. I'm giving it a down stylus.
Well, look at that.
I'm not. That doesn't mean it's as horrible as Elf Bowling. It just means it's a It isn't. It isn't hard. It isn't a horrible game. I just don't think there's enough value here to wholeheartedly recommend it. Even as a level stylus. I mean, I could say the quality is there. It's a polished game. It's just it's lacking in so many ways that Brain Age didn't. I mean, Brain Age there's really not much going on in Brain Age either. But compared to Brain Age, Big Brain Academy is even lacking less.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Just there's too many shortcuts involved.
It's tough when you have a game that just came out that's so comparable. You know, it's like, it'd be like, having two great racing games come out, or I guess not great, but two racing games come out at the same time, and then, the best one came out first, and even though the second one doesn't really suck, the first one was just too much better to, really recommend the second one. I save my down styluses for things that really, really, really disappoint me. Now, I will say this. If you don't ever have the opportunity, let's put it this way. If I could never play this multiplayer, I'd give it a down stylus. The multiplayer aspect of it saves it from being a down stylus for me.
Yeah, but you know what? Just the way you explained it even, I honestly didn't really get much of a chance to play with the multiplayer. But even the way you're describing it, long download times, and I did get the gist of the whole Big Brain Academy multiplayer. I even thought that was lacking. I mean, it's not really that exciting. I mean, you're basically playing this game against yourself, and then you're just comparing notes with everybody else.
Well, no, you're playing against other people.
Right, but you're basically trying to just compete against who's getting the bigger brain, correct?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Metroid Pinball where everybody's in a frantic race to score first, or to get that, or even the like Mario Kart where you're trying to reach the end of the race first. And this, you're just playing, you're almost playing by yourself, but then saying, hey, what'd you get over there? Oh, I got a 50. What'd you get? Oh, I got a 60. It just doesn't feel like there's any interaction involved.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is a bad game. I'm just not saying rush out and buy it. I'm not recommending that. If people really want a number scale, because I know everybody's used to a number scale.
Yeah.
Okay. You got Elf Bowling. Okay. That's like a -30. Okay. I would give this game maybe like a 4 or a 5 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas Brain Age, I'd probably give that maybe an 8. And I'll tell you what, if that didn't have Sudoku in it, it'd probably be an easy 6.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
Sudoku definitely makes the difference.
So it's the Sudoku really helped that game, or helped Brain Age out. If this game came first, I probably would have given it a middle stylus. But the fact that Brain Age exists, and the other thing is they're both Nintendo games. They're both part of this whole touch generation thing. Big Brain Academy was created with the whole idea of Brain Age involved.
Yeah.
They complement each other. This isn't like having comparing Ridge Racer or whatever to Need for Speed. I mean, these two games are from the same group of people. The same kind of mentality going on here. These aren't competing products, more or less. They're supposed to be bookends to a series of these games that they're doing. I mean, they even have Brain Age 2 out in Japan. Now, I mean, that could be better, but
that could be.
I would highly recommend Brain Age over this, and I would just skip this for now.
Save your cash. You pick it up in a bargain bin for $9.99.
$9.99. Give it a try. If anything, check out the demo first. But
yeah, that's good. That is so useful that you guys can actually go out and demo this thing.
This game needs a demo. I mean, you gotta give it a shot.
And like I said, I bet there's some people out there that this will immediately click with, and we just don't know what the hell we're talking about. There's going to be people that like this better than Brain Age. I guarantee it, because it is.
Well, I think
like Chris said,
kids are going to like it more than Brain Age. I know
different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there you have it. Myself with a level stylus. Price would probably be a factor in that as well. Chris with a down stylus. Not necessarily a bad game, but better games are out there. Better games came before it. And there you have it. Of course, we will have that in our database as soon as the show's over with, giving you our little write-ups and our stylus ratings in case you ever want to go back and reference that without listening to the show. Well, the show is running long already. How about we move on to coming attractions?
It's real short this week.
Yeah, it's very short. It's the month is slow.
The big shocker to me is recently that the game Point Blank, which was an old PlayStation 1, or I used to call it the PSX. I'm not used to the PS1 thing yet.
Yeah, me neither.
It had 3 games for that system, and they were just wonderful gun-con light gun games. A blast. I mean, no pun intended. We had a lot of fun playing them. all the little Namco resin. I mean, it doesn't help that I love Namco stuff. You know, I'm a how'd you call it, a slut for Namco. But this game was originally supposed to come out later on in the year. I think at some point it was like July, August. But
yeah,
they've recently moved it up to next week. I mean, 15th, June 15th, it's coming out. And instead of light gun, you're going to be using the touchpad. IGN recently had just yesterday, I think, put out a review for it, and they gave it a 7 out of 10, which seems pretty decent. I'm going to get the game anyway. I loved it on the PlayStation. It looks like a split screen. It just looks exactly like the PlayStation one did.
Yeah, from what I hear, graphics are pretty much dead on, and they take games from all 3 point blanks.
Which is great. I think there's like 40 total. 40
games total. That's great.
Not to mention, I saw a hint of Cosmo Gang, the video in there, which I love that game. I actually own the PCB board for that.
Oh, and as a bonus, apparently they're going to hop on the Brain Games wagon as well. There's going to be some form of ranking your brain or ranking yourself on these mini games in some sort of a brain age type.
It almost
fashion.
looks like a spoof or something, but we'll have to see how the whole stylus in place of the light gun comes off. But
IGN said that it works out. They said that you'd normally think that it wouldn't work, but they said they've managed to pull it off.
I'll give them credit. I mean, I'm not a big fan of their site and everything. I think it's a mess, but it's worse than 1UP's. Or no, 1UP's even worse. But
yeah.
I'm kind of against some of what they thought of some of these games. But in any case, the fact that they were saying that Point Blank wasn't really so much of an accuracy thing. Point Blank wasn't one of those things where you wanted to get up close to the screen and cheat.
Yeah.
Because you really couldn't play it like that. The game was more about reaction and speed. It was always about hit as many as you can within the time limit, okay? So, sure, you had to have that accuracy there, but at the same time, it was more of just blowing away on the screen, hoping you'd hit something half the time.
I can't wait, dude.
And that's why it was called
stoked
Point Blank.
about this game.
And, I'm thinking that going by that kind of mentality, you're going to be able to, this might be pretty cool. I'm looking forward. And the fact that it's got 40 levels, it's just, that's awesome,
Well, I'm also hoping that this will open the door for a lot more gun type, gun con game translations. I'd love to see things like, Lethal Enforcers and Virtua Cop. And I'm a slut for gun games, man. I can't help it.
Yeah, Virtual Cop collection, that'd be cool.
I'll tell you what would be the business would be frickin' Police Trainer, dude. I played so much Police Trainer. I actually have that on my main cap. And I actually have a light gun, one of the Act Labs light guns. And, dude, I play the crap out of Police Trainer.
But you know what? See, that's the thing. Police Trainer, that's a more slower, methodical thing. You know what I mean? You're not.
No, it's not. It's it's just like Point Blank.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of the other one.
You're thinking of like Police 911, I think.
I don't know, but it's one of them. One of them is more of like, oh, there he is, shoot, or like a Hogan's Alley kind of thing. A lot slower based.
No, this is really fast.
Okay.
Most of the games, I'm telling you, when I saw Police Trainer, I said, oh, it's Point Blank.
See, the thing is, something has to compensate for the fact that you're right next to the screen with the stylus.
You're absolutely right.
You really don't have, you're not aiming, you don't have, your eye isn't as much involved as it is your hand and reflexes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's a big trade-off there.
I can't wait to see how they do it, to be honest with you.
Well,
I think
I'll let you know. I'll be there day one to pick
I'll be
this
there
up.
day one, too, to be sure. That's on
and
my...
It's $29.99, so there you go.
That's well spent.
I should have saved the money
there.
from Big Brain Academy.
Yeah.
Let
me give you I know we already kind of wrapped up the Big Brain thing. Typically, whenever I get a game that's like Brain Age or something that I'm sure my wife would be into, I'll buy 2 copies. Because what will happen is I'll get home, the wife will say, oh, let me see that. And then it ends up at her DS the whole time.
Yeah.
So normally what I'll do, like with Brain Age, I just went ahead and bought 2. I went down, I bought 2. What else did I do that with? Super Mario Brothers. I knew that there was going to be use for it in the house to have a second copy. I bought 2 copies of Big Brain Academy. One of them went back.
Wow.
That gives you something to think about.
Nice.
I did keep one, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Point Blank. On the 20th, we have a couple of more titles, what I would call more kind of budget or touch generation type titles. Sudoku Mania.
But let's not confuse it again.
Yeah. Sudoku Mania is not the touch generation version. That's Sudoku Gridmaster, which comes out later on in the month.
I think the 30th, yeah.
26th, I think, but we're not covering the 26th this time. That's why it's not on the list. We have Sudoku Mania, which is another entry into the whole Sudoku thing, and we don't have any information on this, do we?
Nah,
This is the blackout one.
Yeah, but the thing is, at the same time, it's Sudoku. I really don't think we need to see video on this one. So
Probably not, but again, I'm waiting for someone to completely rip off Brain Age and do the exact same formula.
Yeah,
and put
it was
into
so
a
well
giant
done.
400
So well
puzzle
done.
game.
Just the fact that you held it, sideways, held the DS sideways alone.
It's brilliant.
Was it was great. The whole interface is fantastic because, a Sudoku puzzle is usually kind of like a square, and the horizontal screen of the DS it would be kind of crammed in there, and I think it just fits a little better vertically. I like the way it's set up.
I agree.
I don't know how this is going to look.
We don't know anything about Sudoku Mania.
Ultimately, it's the interface that's going to matter here. Okay.
Of course.
If there's a lot of if you're going to be using a D-pad to do stuff, it's going to suck.
Forget it.
You got to have the touchpad.
We don't do D-pads for puzzle games anymore.
And I don't know. I think Gridmaster, if after playing some of the import from Hudson, it looks like it's going to be able to use both. You can use either or, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I took a look at that, but the handwriting recognition was really crappy.
Yeah, hopefully they've improved it a little bit.
Yeah, let's hope they've tightened that.
I'm hoping it's not just a straight English port. Hopefully they touched up some things.
I hope so.
620 we have also is Break 'em All. No idea what this is.
Oh, I can tell you what that is. It's an Arkanoid clone.
Okay, so it is like Arkanoid.
It's Arkanoid. You got power-ups, you've got breaking blocks, you've got the whole bit. It doesn't look bad. I mean, I could totally go for a stylus-controlled Arkanoid game because the problem with bat and ball games with D-pads is there's no accuracy. I mean, you can't.
Right.
There's no precision. So I think that if they pull it off right and it's intuitive and the levels are clean, that it'll be a decent title. Remains to be seen though.
You know what? Most recently, speaking of that, is there was a game called Ricochet. I don't know if you tried that. I think it's from Pop Crap.
Ricochet doesn't ring a bell, but
yeah, if you go on, it's one of those web-based games you can play, and it's from Pop Crap. So they did Zoom and all that. So you got it's the same idea. You got a little Arkanoid kind of clone going on. And what's nice is you use the mouse, to move back and forth. So I'm thinking if it's anything like that, it's a lot more accurate than using a D-pad. It was actually a cool little game, and if it's anything like that, I'd probably check this out.
My wife's a complete slut for bat and ball games, so there'll be a copy in the house for sure.
I mean, I'm thinking the one big D-pad game that was like Arkanoid that I used to play was back on the old Game Boy. Was the original Alleyway, and they kind of compensated for the accuracy by allowing you to hold down, I think it was like the B button.
And go faster.
It would speed it up. Yeah, it would speed up the paddle. But it worked to a point. But, you're talking primitive technology there compared to what we're dealing with now. So I'm hoping the stylus really pulls
Give me analog for any bat and ball game. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So that's really that's all that's really coming out in the next couple of weeks. The 26th is the next release date, and we're going to talk about that on the next show. So there you go. The two games we've already talked about that are out now, Magnetic and Big Brain Academy, of course, we've already kind of discussed, so there's no reason to go out there. The only other really recent title that's come out is Cars. And, I took a look at it, folks, and it's not a magic game. I mean, it is a straight movie license port game.
Shovelware for the kids.
It's shovelware for the kids. I'll tell you what, it looks great. I was so disappointed when the game basically sucked because the graphics were clean. I'm going, hey, they're finally starting to figure out how to use the DS graphics. Great. And then it's like, are you kidding me? The first game you play has you on like an isometric road, and you drive your car, but you don't use the D-pad to like move back and forth in the lanes like Spy Hunter or something, which would have been kind of cool. Mm-hmm. You tap the lane and the car moves to it.
What?
No, I swear to God, this is the way it is. And I'm like,
so wait a minute, the car is constantly moving automatically for you?
Well, it's constantly moving forward, and then you tap a lane, and it moves to that lane.
But, I mean, are you actually accelerating with a button or something?
I don't think so, dude. I mean, I played it for like just a few moments at the store, and I'm going...
That sounds like one of those Flash advertisements.
I swear to God, it feels like a Flash game.
Like where you have Brad Pitt running down, you got to click off the paparazzi.
Shoot Brad Pitt in the head. And
well, it doesn't help that this movie looks pretty crappy anyway.
It really does.
You know what? I've had this feeling before about our Pixar movies. Like when I saw a preview for like Finding Nemo, I said this looks stupid. Yeah. And it ended up being, it wasn't great, but I liked it a little bit.
Monsters Inc. It looked kind of goofy, but it was a cool movie. This I have actually zero good vibes about. I have no interest in this movie.
Oh, it's already getting rave reviews. All you have to do is come out with a kids movie at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
And the critics can't help but bend down and kiss
Man,
your
and I'll
ass.
tell you what, man, they've been hyping this movie up like a mother. I mean,
Dude, you can buy cereal. You can buy
especially
Cars
when I was
breakfast
at,
cereal.
I was down at what did it taste like, oil? So I was down at Disney World, and everywhere it's car. It's like shoving it down your throat. The only cool thing was, like, when they had the Stars of Disney parade, they actually had these cars made up to look like the characters.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, the windshields had like a white, and then the eyes moved back and forth. It was so cool looking. They were really cool.
And didn't they steal this whole idea from, like, the old Shell commercials? Don't you remember those with the clay cars that talk to each other?
No, but you know what it does remind me of? Do you remember the old I think was it Disney? I can't remember if it was a Disney or if it was from the the Tex Avery Studios, the ones who did Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Remember the little car and his father, and they had the eyes in the windows, and the little kid had the little raccoon tail hanging off his antenna.
Yeah, I think I do know what you're
And
talking
I remember
about.
he was buzzing all around the town, causing a commotion.
Yeah.
And his father ended up getting hit by a train, and it was getting ready to get hit by a train, and his son pushes him out of the way, and the son gets. That's what they remind me of, the characters from that cartoon, which is at least maybe 40, almost 50 years old. And I think it was Disney.
Yeah,
but
it could have been.
Anyway, I'm steering off the topic here, but the fact that the movie isn't exciting me, the game isn't really exciting me, considering the fact that, I mean, who's making this game? Is it
It was THQ.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was THQ, dude.
Yeah, me and Shane were spending a good 20 minutes, I think, last week making up acronyms to what THQ stand for.
That's horrible quality.
Yeah. Typical horrible, quantity, here and things like that.
We should have wrote those down. Some of those were really good, dude.
Oh wait a minute. What was the one I thought? Trying hard. Something. I don't remember what I was doing. I should have wrote
It's not
it
funny
down.
since we don't have the actual thing.
Yeah, and I got sidetracked by the whole MySpace T-shirts we were making up last week.
Oh, man. I told the folks at GameStop about our MySpace T-shirt ideas. They thought it was brilliant. They thought we need to get busy right now and start putting those out.
I met my 13-year-old wife on MySpace.
Your underage daughter's on MySpace.
Yeah,
and
right.
so am I. Anyway, so great, dude. I could blast MySpace all day. Okay, let's move on to Touch and Go. We have quite a bit here, but I think it's going to be mostly short stuff because we're starting to run long on the show.
They're nothing, no big, huge stories. A lot of little fluff stories, but we thought they were important, and a few of them are mainly links that we want to direct you to.
Yeah, we're going to give you some stuff.
Do you want to start it, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'll start off. A lot of people are wondering about the future of the Rumble Pack because we all know that the Rumble Pack, as it sells now, is the size of a Game Boy Advance cart, which fits great into the Nintendo DS, but sticks out on the Nintendo DS Lite and takes that sleek iPod-looking cocaine crack white DS and makes it look kind of goofy with something sticking out of it. So already in Japan, there is a DS Lite Rumble Pack, which is exactly the same size as the replacement wedge, the little dust cover wedge. Nope. It even has the little thing sticking out of the side so that it properly covers that hole.
Yeah, nice smooth gapless surface.
Gapless surface. So that's coming. At least it's already available in Japan. I'm assuming that we're going to get that here eventually.
I don't know. We'll see what happens because
you don't think so? Well,
I don't think the Rumble Pack's really taken off all that much.
They've dropped the ball a million times with the Rumble Pack. And you know what? I just want to call up Reggie and say, dude, how could you have left a Rumble Pack out of Mario Kart?
Well, not only that, I mean, that too, but the thing is, it really bothered me. I don't understand why they didn't just include the Rumble Pack as part of that cover for the DS Lite.
Yeah,
instead of just giving you an empty cover. And if you look inside, it's actually got the little pin board.
Yeah, it's got little gold edge connectors in there.
Yeah, I mean,
how much more would it have cost?
Seriously, I mean, would it have really cost them that much more to have? I mean, they included the Metroid Pinball.
Right.
And since all first-party Nintendo stuff seems to be $35 nowadays anyway, You basically got that for free with that game. Would it really killed them? It's not like they're selling like hotcakes. Let's get some of the load
dude, they
off.
left, and that's something that's kind of funny. They left the strap out of the USDS Lite.
Yes.
Too. And I'm thinking, you cheap bastards, dude, it's a strap. What is that,
So,
like 2 cents?
For all you people picking up your DS Lites either tonight at midnight or tomorrow at midnight, whatever, be aware that there is no strap with this USDS Lite release. It
To find a strap that looks good with your Lite, black doesn't work, just so you know. So chances are you're going to spend like ungodly amounts of money to import one that actually looks the right color. Thank God I got the one that came with my import, which is actually white. So I have a white strap on my white DS.
Oh, so it came with a white one? Your Powder Puff Blue came with a white one?
My Powder Puff Blue came with a white strap.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I'm sure there's a place to get these things, and I'm sure that store.nintendo.com will be selling them too. But you'll want to wait for a color that's more suitable. Black and the white, I tried it on.
It just doesn't. It looks kind of.
It doesn't look good, but the white looks good.
Yeah. Now that Shane owns the white DS Lite, he's all for it. So.
Yeah. No, I wasn't all for it. I'm still on the fence a little bit, but trust me, I don't get strange looks like carrying around the baby Powder Puff Blue.
Well, yeah, but now your daughter has the baby Powder Puff Blue. And what color is the strap on that now?
I gave her one of my black straps, and the black strap actually looks okay on the blue.
So the Powder Puff Blue isn't using the pink strap that you got.
Well, that's sort of ixnay on that.
Okay,
right
I was going to say that is one homosexual DS Lite you're going to have there.
It's quite so. I mean, definitely this will be this will be an L word DS Lite.
Yeah.
Yeah, queer as folk. Anyway, I got a couple more stories that I wanted to tell. I already talked about
story time. We need some theme music. You do realize that, don't you? We need some like Mother Goose theme music or something.
That would be awesome, dude. This is really funny. I've managed to corrupt one of my coworkers with the DS. He was one of these guys who I kind of believe found religion to quell his own internal demons. I'm sure you know people like that.
Could I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
Did this story happen to take place on 666? June 6th?
Hey, you know what? I think it did. That's kind of creepy.
I thought of that. As soon as you said corrupt, that popped in there.
There you go. Maybe the devil is amongst us. Who knows?
You are the beast, Mario.
You will buy my Nintendo DS. No, but this guy has been, he's a very, he's got, religion, and that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. But he apparently was kind of a hellraiser as a kid. He has a temper problem. And I think he really kind of uses religion to keep himself in check, and that's fine, whatever you got to do to get by. Well, one of his problems, he said, is he has an addictive personality. And so while we've been throwing down DS left and right, and you could tell every time we do it, he watches. He goes into spectator mode and sits and watches us play DS. And it's like, well, listen, Andy, I brought in an extra DS today. Why don't you go ahead and throw down with us? No, I can't do it. I want to stay away from it. I've got an addictive personality, and then I'll have to have one. My wife will leave me, whatever. So it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to push it. Just so you know, it's in my bag.
No, what you do is you buy the white one.
Anytime that you want to throw down with us, you're more than welcome. I'll keep bringing it. And if you change your mind, it's available. Well, dude, we had to wear him down for months. And then finally, he decided he was going to throw down with us. Well, then he started throwing down with us like, not every time, but, like every third time we play. Oh, you don't have a third? Okay, well, I'll come in and be your third. Because you don't want to play Mario Kart with 2 people. You got to play with 3. So he'd come in, and then finally, as luck would have it, his wife, who works as like a nurse or something for like a kid's home, I'm not sure the exact details, but one of her kids had a DS and was talking it up and talking about how great it was. She comes home and tells my friend, hey, this sounds really fun. I bet, our kid would like it, blah, blah, blah. And it just so happened to line up that my kid had her DS for sale because she got my Powder Puff Blue DS Lite. So I went to Andy and said, hey, listen, I know that you're not, I know that you don't want to own one of these things. I didn't hear about his wife's little story yet. I said, listen, I know you're kind of against it. You don't want to get all addicted to it and spend a lot of time with it. I said, but listen, I've got a DS for sale. I'll give you a really good deal on it, less than I could get for it if I go to GameStop this week. I said, because I'd really like, because I think your kid would really enjoy it, and I know you'd enjoy it. So, here it is. Why don't you take it home for the weekend? Let your wife play it, your son play it, and see what they think. And then he said, you're never going to believe this, but then he told me the whole story about his wife and about her recommending, that they look into it. So here's a guy that basically found Jesus so that he wouldn't get addicted to video games. If you want to break it down into a nutshell. And here I am basically, tempting him with the devil's fruit. Right? It's like, hey, Andy, why don't you just take it home for the weekend? I'll give you a great deal for it, half price. I'll throw in some extra styluses, and it's already flashed and it's got a screen protector on it.
As long as you didn't give him elf bowling.
Dude, I didn't give him elf. Dude, I do have a limit to how far my
You're
evil
not that
runs.
evil. Yes.
I'm not that evil. Now, if Satan was selling the DS, he'd give him a copy of Elf Bowling and Zoo Tycoon, a double pack. But I thought it was really interesting that somebody, and then of course his kid got totally hooked on Narnia, dude. Narnia is this kid's frickin' digital crack.
Well, I mean, Narnia's got the whole Christian overtone going on anyway.
That's true, but but you run around the game slaughtering wolves and
yeah, right.
Getting your butt kicked. I mean, I didn't really think that's how it was going to work. I figured the kid would get into it.
That's okay because that's like I said, that's a Christian thing. So
yeah, so I guess that worked out.
It's acceptable. It's just like the violence in the Bible is acceptable.
Yeah, you know what? It's far be it from me to start preaching about religion, but I thought that was interesting, that this whole process that happened with this guy. And I actually took him aside later on. Dude, he's all into it now. It's so funny. He was like, no, I can't get one, blah, blah, blah. Now he's like, dude, we're going to stop by GameStop at lunchtime and look for me a man sack, right? I'm telling you, he's totally into it. He's like, do you got any games you want to sell me? Or, dude, it's great. He's like all of a sudden in the DS club.
Nice.
It's wild, dude. It's just, I don't know. I thought that would be a story that our listeners would like. That's funny.
That's good stuff, man.
He's all into it now.
You've brought more sheep into our flock.
That's right. I have brought more into the fold of the DS love. The other story I wanted to tell was I had this dream, and this is kind of weird. I don't usually dream about video games because I'm not that big of a geek. But after I heard about the Wii and the DS connectivity, and I think we have another article about that later.
Yeah, we
do. When I started hearing about that, I started thinking to myself, man, what could you do with a DS wirelessly hooked to your Wii and playing it on this big screen TV? Well, I had this dream where, how like on, you ever played the Jurassic Park Lost World game at the arcade, the shooting game?
No, but I have seen it. That's the one where you're like sitting and it almost looks like you're in a Jeep or something?
You're in a Jeep, yeah. Well, when you play those sort of light gun games, there's a whole bunch of them that are like that. When you point your gun at the screen, an X appears where you're pointing. It's not like a traditional light gun. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as long as your gun's pointed at the screen, you see where you're going to be shooting at. So it kind of improves your accuracy. Well, I had this dream about playing this wild frickin' zombie death shoot 'em up kill game on the Wii, but you actually used your DS as the controller, and you sat on the couch and you used your stylus on your little screen, your touch screen, and that actually controlled the X on the main Wii screen. And then you used your right or left finger to use the trigger to fire. And I'm telling you, it was a blast. I mean, that was like the coolest game ever. And of course, then you start thinking about, well, why wouldn't you want to use the Wii controller, which you could actually use as a gun? But that didn't matter. You know how dreams are, dude. It's just, it doesn't have to make complete sense.
Right.
But it was so cool to be able to, you could use your D-pad to actually shift your view, right? You use the D-pad to shift your view around this big city block. And then you use, like I said, the stylus to control where your pointer went. So if you put your pointer in your upper left-hand corner of your screen, on the Wii screen, on your TV, it was in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
Dude, it was badass. I mean, I know you had to kind of be there to really appreciate that, but it was way cool. I don't know. I just wasted like 10 minutes and it didn't go anywhere.
No. Hey, it's all game oriented. It's all DS oriented. I mean,
people probably like to hear. I'm
it's
sure
the
other
same-
people have weird crap.
It's the same way as when I was trying to describe the way I thought, a Warcraft or Starcraft or whatnot could be done on, or Diablo could be done on the mainly Diablo could be done on DS. You know, I mean, although I didn't have a dream about it, I just kind of thought about it a little bit.
Dude, I might actually sell my kid to get Diablo on the DS.
I'll put her on MySpace.
yeah, there you go. I'll set her up on MySpace. Okay, well, enough of the Storytime Theater. Something that I got from GameStop a few days ago, which really disturbed me. Apparently, an email went out, and I haven't. Everybody that's called an EB Games, the EB Games people say that it's all a lie and it's all fabricated, but they get the same emails that GameStop do, folks. So I think they're just blowing smoke.
It's like a corporate thing, right?
Yeah,
Probably
corporate GameStop sent out an email that said, you have our full permission. I should try to get a copy of the email so I could read it. Basically, you have full permission to ignore pre-orders and sell DS Lites on a first-come, first-served basis.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that raced out and put $25 down on a DS Lite.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, where's my DS? Oh, we didn't get enough in for your pre-order.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy. That's because they've probably sold a whole bunch of them to non-pre-order people as per their corporate email.
There goes your magazine rack, bastards.
That's right. So just so you know, if you know, we've already kind of talked a lot about GameStop this episode, but I'd be one of the first people in line, to be honest with you. If you really are concerned about getting one, I'd make sure you were there when it opens tomorrow, because otherwise you could get screwed. Now, our GameStop said, there's no way we're doing that. That's screwing the customer. I'm like, well, yeah, but they said they would not be surprised to hear of people complaining about it later on, because
when has EB really cared about screwing the customer?
That's true.
As we discussed earlier.
Yeah, but hey, what do we know? That's just what I got from my inside source, folks. Okay, well, I've put all these in here. Do you want me to just keep going on this, or?
Well, you know what? Why don't you discuss? It looks like the Wii has the DS connectivity going on, as you even discussed in your House of the Dead dream.
Yeah.
So if you want to divulge a little bit about that, because I think that's one of your little stories.
Yeah, the Wii DS connectivity is really starting to come into fruition, along with, of course, things that are obvious, like Crystal Chronicle type tie-in games where you could use your DS as some sort of an extra controller or extra screen. They're also talking about the 24/7 Wii connectivity situation will actually be delivering in the background at night while you sleep with your unit off. Will be delivering brand new DS demos for you to try out. All you'll have to do is turn your Wii on, hit the Wii with your DS. Boy, that sounds kind of funny. And I hit my Wii a lot.
One thing that's pretty interesting. Personally, I don't know what to think about this. Because I don't know, having the thing on all night doing something. I don't know what they're sending me. As long as it's nothing advertising involved or anything spammy. But
I'm worried about that too, to be honest with you.
The one thing that's really cool, the coolest part of it that I've heard besides the DS demos, which I think is awesome. I mean, having your own little updated day-by-day 24/7 DS download station.
That's exactly what it'll be, too.
How cool is that?
That's really cool.
The one thing I really thought was pretty neat that somebody brought up was the fact that Animal Crossing will now be a live universe, more or less. Your Animal Crossing could be on at all times.
How cool
all
would that
through
be,
the night.
dude?
Yeah, I mean, so if we had our Wii's hooked up and we both had Animal Crossing and, say I wasn't getting any sleep, so I decided to play a little bit at 2 a.m, I could come over to your town and say, hey, Shane, and, draw some boobies on the message board or something, Or, do something a little profane or something at 3 a.m.
How about you just bring me over some pears and some peaches instead
of
I'll
bring you some pears. Yeah, I'll bring you some peaches. But how cool would that be? You could just come over and dig up somebody's ground and go back to bed or something.
And there's tons of possibilities with that. I started thinking about that the other day. What if you're playing some sort of a dungeon crawler or some sort of an RPG, right? And you could actually, visit other people's characters. What if I'm playing and I get an extra, broadsword +7?
Right, kind of like Diablo, swapping weapons.
Dude, that would be so cool. I could actually pull your character up, providing we both give trust, of course. I could pull your character up and throw you a +7 broadsword into your inventory while you're sleeping.
Nice.
Dude.
Nice. Like I could get up on your birthday, or something. Happy birthday.
How freaking cool would that be?
Sort of satanic enchantment, Yeah,
yeah, +666.
Magic missile +1. Here you go, man. Happy birthday.
That's right. See, there are tons of possibilities. Now, you're right, though. I have a weird feeling, though, that it could be exploited for great evil.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I'm on the fence with it. I'm just hoping that it all works.
And the
out.
fact that it's all free is going to be awesome too.
That's a beautiful thing.
I mean, it's something that they tried to do with the GameCube. I mean, they really it was pulled off horribly too. I mean, they really only did it with I think 3 different games. Animal Crossing, which is hardly anything. You were able to visit a little desert island on your Game Boy Advance. It was so pathetic. And Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. They tried to do it with that. And then the Crystal Chronicles, as you mentioned. Those are the only 3 games. And
yeah, Pac-Man Versus was the other one.
Oh, yeah, Pac-Man Versus.
Pac-Man Versus was elite. That was the best use of that technology.
I've never even played it, but...
Oh, you haven't played that?
No.
Oh, you got to go pick that up. That's way cool, dude. But you have to have 4 players.
The thing is, though, you get it with Pac-Man World, don't you? I mean,
I
already
know.
have
Yeah,
that.
you can't just go out and like buy it alone.
Yeah, I'm
but
not
I bet you
paying.
can get it off eBay for like $5 or something.
You know what? I'm not even going to play that anyway. It's not even worth
Dude,
it.
it's cool. It's cool. Just you know what? You'll be over here sometime. You're going to come for a visit, like all my other friends do. You'll come over for a visit, and then we'll throw it in. We can play it, and then you can talk about how elite it is.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah,
I do believe it's elite. I love Pac-Man. I mean,
oh, dude, and this is like such a cool way to play it. Anyway, all right. Well, enough of the DS Wii connectivity. We'll give you a link. You can go look it up all for yourself and see what's going on.
Works for me. Yeah, we got all the links. We'll have them all up on there. Any of these news stories, once again, for everybody streaming, you can go to the website.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to get on any of these links and find out where the basis of our news stories were from. And a lot of stuff, especially this week, I think I threw in a few things that you're going to want to go to get the links for because you got some video involved, So you're going to want to check that out. So anyway, moving on. The next little item we have here is Majesco, another great company that really, putting out some good hits. They're bringing over Cooking Mama later in the year, and they gave us Age of Empires and the pretty horrific Guilty Gear's Dust Strikers. Which
apparently they sold well enough to start making them some serious bank.
Well, their gains, they're meeting an increase in profits for the company.
Yeah, and they're attributing it to the popularity of the DS.
Yeah, Age of Empires and Guilty Gear. At least one of them is a good game anyway.
Yeah. We'll let you guess which one it is.
Yeah, I mean, for a while they were kind of coming out. It was a little rough, but
Nanostray's still one of my. Nanostray's still a game that they put out that I use that to show people.
Yeah, well, it's good, I guess, to look at it as a tech standpoint, but I don't know how much. I don't think you're as big of a shooter fan.
No, I'm not a shmup fan like you are, so I know that you weren't all that thrilled with it.
Not really impressed.
The technology-wise, though.
I mean, any game, any vertically playing shmup that is taking place on a horizontal screen right off the bat is going to have problems. Unless
you have 2 screens. But, of course, you're only playing on one of them.
You're only playing on one of them, yeah.
That's a missed opportunity.
At least when you play these, like in the Nintendo memories and so forth, you can change the viewing angles. You can do the crop on the side. You're getting the inverted widescreen more or less, except it's vertical. So or you can even perform what's called Tate mode, which is where you can actually flip your TV or monitor on its side, and you're getting the full screen vertical experience. Okay, so that right there just gives bonus points to any of these games. But the moment you stick a vertical shooter on a horizontal screen, you're going to have problems. This is one of the problems I had with the Dreamcast shooters that Capcom put out.
Yeah.
So it didn't work out. I was not a big fan of this game. It looked to me like this game was created just to show off the graphics.
And it does that well.
It was putting me to sleep, dude. I mean, it sucked. I'm sorry. And the whole thing of trying to the way they have you select your power up is pathetic. There's no way you're going to be able to. I just could not find the way to get to just acutely select my power up weapons from the touch screen when I'm trying to dodge all the firepower and everything on the top screen.
That was a bad use of touch screen.
Did not like it.
No.
I don't care how cheap it is. It's not a good shooter. I'm very critical with my.
You're very critical.
My genre.
You're a critical guy. Okay.
When it comes to my shooters, I am too.
Yeah. Hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Final Fantasy III. The mini site is now open on the official Fantasy III Japanese Square Enix website.
So you can check out our website to get the link to that. It's a little involved. The game looks really cool. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan. You know, I played 7 a little bit for the most. I actually played quite a bit of Part 7 back when the PlayStation came out, and I actually rented what came out over here as Final Fantasy 3, but was reality. You know, I'm not an expert on this, so I'm not going to try to guess. So somebody can let me know. But I remember playing that, and that was a lot of fun. This is the true Japanese Final Fantasy 3. From what I've seen, it looks really cool. This isn't a game I'd probably, if this was after the Xbox or PlayStation, what have you, GameCube, I don't see myself picking this up because I couldn't sit in front of the TV and play something like this. But when you put it on a handheld, it's totally a different experience to me. Because, you know, I can pick it up, I could play through a little dungeon, save the game, and go on my merry way in like 15-minute intervals or whatever. You know, I'm not sitting there in front of a TV for 2 hours just to find a save point or whatnot. You know, so something like this would be really cool to have on the go, and I could see myself definitely playing it. Some of the video footage that has been up, I saw little clips of it. It's really amazing. You know,
it looks great.
Yeah, it's really impressive. The whole engine. You know, it's just funny. I swear, it seems like Square Enix has really nailed the 3D engine for the DS. Because you do realize they're the ones that are putting out Mario Hoops as well.
Yeah.
And they've really got the DS whipped in terms of 3D effects. Because this is looking really cool. I'm really looking forward to this. This is one of the games that if I had to list 10, this would have been number 11 of what I'm looking forward to from the E3.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm not a fan at all, but I will definitely be keeping my eyes on the product. It looks great.
Yeah, I mean,
and if they scale it down for more, like you said, that quick 15-minute play.
As long as you can save it at any point. Yeah,
I don't want to just sit there and B button mash through freaking endless text. I don't care about the story. Okay, you can give me a little story. I don't need like a tokenized, rendition of this whole thing.
Saga.
I don't need that much. I don't need a saga. Give me enough story to where I buy into it. Let me play.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
The thing is, lately I've been really, I had Fire Emblem, and I've been getting back into that, and it's just
there's almost too much story in Fire Emblem too.
No, because you can just hit the start button and go.
Yeah, you can
along.
Skip that. It's when you can't skip all that crap.
And the story. Sometimes the story does matter because certain objectives, you kind of have to know leading into it what your objective is. So sometimes
it's like Lost Magic. There was so much blah blah at the beginning of that game. You're just going, let me just freaking.
But
play.
This, I can't wait for a Fire Emblem. I really hope it comes out for the DS.
You know it's going to come.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be one of those games that, oh my God, it's coming out. It could be coming out in July. And they'll just sneak it out on you, kind of like what's going to happen with Disney Meteos. So it's going to be one of those sneak attack games, kind of like Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris is sneak attack.
It was announced in January or something? December, January?
Like 4 weeks before it came out, it was announced.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
So, I was really having a good time with the Fire Emblem. I went back to go back into it a little bit after being away from it for some time now. I mean, I got really far and I just stopped playing it because I was distracted. And, anytime that happens, I have to start a game over because I always forget where I am in the game and I'm all screwed up. I have to get into the motions.
Yeah.
I remember the last time that really happened was PlayStation. I was playing Soul Reaver or something, and I got so far into that. I was so mad I didn't want to even start it over again. But, I really like to pick it up and play a little strategy. I think it's great. And I love the fantasy element.
Well, let's hope it rules.
Yeah, now I know you're excited about the next game.
And I shouldn't be because it's going to be a huge letdown, but I can dream at least.
It already looks like it's going to be a letdown. It looks absolutely pathetic.
This what we're talking about is called Dead and Furious. It's a zombie rail shooter for the DS, and I'm dying for a zombie shooter game. I mean, yeah, we got Resident Evil. I want a nice, fast arcade-style House of the Dead game, and this kind of looks like it might be able to deliver it, but I just know better than to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Because, I've been let down before, like on our next topic, which is the Dino Digmaster game. My God. I mean, just when you thought Elf Bowling, couldn't be, even comparatively speaking to a game, this Dino Digmaster came along. And if you look at the screenshots of this and you read about it and stuff, it's like, hey, this might be okay.
Looks promising.
Dude, this looks like Kicks, the old game where you drew a line on the screen and then it would fill in the piece that you just drew against and you had to clear a certain percentage. Dude, the game has been ripped off a million times. I know you know what I'm talking about. But you're looking at the screenshots going, hey, this is Kix, in a dinosaur skin. I like this. Then you play it. Worst game. Well, it's not the worst game ever. Elf Bowling still holds that. But I want you to imagine, just for a minute, playing Kix with a stylus. That's all I got to tell you. You try to play Kix with a stylus on a screen that is about 3 times bigger than your actual screen.
I hope you're good at holding the stylus enough to make it make 90-degree angles.
It's horrible. It is so horrible.
Wow.
Somebody fell asleep at the QA switch and needs to be beaten publicly. It needs to be a pay-per-view event where they get the developer of this out.
Shovelware.
And no, this is whipware, because I'm going to beat them with a whip when I meet the guy that actually approved.
Are you going to elf bowl them over?
Yeah, I'm going to beat them with a stick made of elf bowling cartridges and say, you learn nothing. Okay, I'm done now. Please proceed. We only have a few more left.
Yeah, let's just build on through. A few of these are some extra ones I've kind of thrown in at the last minutes. Tingle from the Zelda series is getting his own RPG. There's some new shots out. Check out the link. Game looks really weird.
Is that a good weird or a bad weird?
I don't know yet. I mean, take WarioWare,
Yeah.
okay, and it almost makes that look like it's a serious Da Vinci Code kind of thing.
Damn.
In comparison, yeah, this looks
I'm gonna have to check those screens out.
This looks very strange. I mean, you've got a kind of seriously, not a joke, but he does actually look like a gay character. And he's a gay.
That's all the rage these days.
A gay elf in a green spandex tight suit.
It sounds like Xandar from Drawn Together.
A big Wario-esque type nose, and it's very strange character. He's getting his own RPG. I don't even know if it's coming out in America. I mean, everybody's got this sneaking suspicion that he's in the closet, the character. And I don't know what the story is, but anyway, it's got some new shots. Check them out. Nintendo has updated their Nintendo DS section of the website. It's now reflecting the DS Lite. Haha, no pun intended. It's all redone more or less to the best you're going to get from Nintendo.com in the U.S. branch anyway. One thing that really bothers me, over the weekend, speaking of Nintendo.com, I was sitting here, earlier, actually during the week, not in the weekend, putting in some of the games that I've missed into my registry on the website. I was putting in Magnetica, I put in Big Brain Academy, I put in New Super Mario, so on and so on. I even forgot to put Tetris in back in the day. So, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if you realize, but the Japanese Nintendo site, they get so many cool items and swag. The swag is the free little cool memorabilia, paraphernalia that the companies will give out, more or less advertising items. But man, they get some cool stuff over there. They got a Mario shaped hat, red Mario shaped hat, DS case.
No way. That'd be awesome.
Dude, they got so much cool crap over there for registering your games, because you get points every time you register a game. And if you get an import game, like I know you got a Wendon on the way.
Yeah.
But like I got Puzzle Bobble DS. It's an import game. My brother got a Wendon. Inside you'll see a little paper with like a point. It's got some kind of points. It's all in Japanese, so I don't know the specifics of it. Maybe somebody can help us out with it. But I think you basically just put these points in, and the more points you get, you can trade them in. Kind of like when you play skee-ball, in an arcade and you get the tickets, you go up and get a prize. It's the same idea.
Huh.
It really sucks. I'm registering all these games, and I'm thinking, what have I gotten so far in the past year? Nothing.
You got 3 free issues of Nintendo Power.
Well, and I got a pink Kirby stylus,
Yeah.
But
you
that's
didn't get in
nothing.
on the touched hand, though.
Dude, I mean, some of this stuff is primo over there. I mean,
I know.
They've got clocks, and they've got little figurines and all this really neat stuff that I would love to be able to have.
Yeah, but we're too damn serious over here.
What is going on over here, man? I mean, somebody. I'm sitting here. I'm saying to myself, why am I even registering these things? And then I get the surveys, which I do. I do the surveys with the hopes that maybe I'll get something cool from it. Even if it was like a Mario stylus or something. Like the cool Mario stylus that had the little go-kart on the end of it.
That'd be way cool.
I mean, just throw me a bone here, man. we got some real small homebrew news this week. We're not really playing it too much, I guess. So there really wasn't much of a demand for it. A lot of people don't even know what we're talking about when we say homebrew. So, mainstream stuff. But Quake, it looks like somebody's working on a port of Quake for the DS. There's some video footage that he released. It looks very promising, actually. You can find the link on dualscreenradio.com, as usual. Check it out. It looks pretty smooth. One thing I'd love to try eventually is maybe try that Heretic out. The Heretic port. I loved Heretic. I thought that was
Give me Rise
cool.
of the Triad, dude. That's the one I'd like to see.
It's funny. I never really cared for Rise of the Triad.
Really? I love the violence, dude. I just love the rockets blowing people
I'm all
up.
for the violence, but there's something about it. I think the trampoline thing really drove me crazy.
That drive you bonkers.
I'm in the middle of this, I feel like I'm in the middle of a terrorist fortress, and there's trampolines in there. Just kind of in the middle. I'm like, okay, what's the point here? A little realism, but then again, once you get the dog mode and the bat mode and all that, holy bat and all.
You know what I'd like to see is Blood, dude. You ever play Blood?
You know what, Blood? I kind of caught that on the way out of Windows 98. It was one of those games I just missed. I was probably playing Shadow Warrior while Blood was getting all the reviews.
Shadow Warrior was pretty good too, but dude,
I love Shadow Warrior.
Nothing works out better than shooting a flare into a zombie's chest.
That is
watching
cool.
It burn into flames,
I
dude.
played the shareware of it, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I would fire a flare at the monk guys, the monks with the machine guns.
It's freaking awesome, dude. Blood was like one of the very first time when they actually said, "Hey, you know what? We need something other than a pistol, a shotgun, and a BFG."
Yes, you had sticks of dynamite too, right?
Dude, you had a voodoo doll. How
the
cool
voodoo doll.
was that?
I remember that.
A voodoo doll. You look at your dude, and then you break the voodoo doll's leg, and the guy collapses.
That's awesome.
Dude, freaking awesome.
Now, you know what we need? We need Quake. Not Quake. What am I saying? We need Duke Nukem on here, man. Get Duke Nukem.
Forget it.
Get some kind of land play.
I never have any time free, dude.
Look, any of you homebrew guys that are out there listening, please do anything you can to get Duke on the DS. Okay?
Give us land playable Duke 3D, and my life will be complete.
Freaking cool.
Awesome.
I mean, come on, it's got to be decent. I mean, I can't see how you can't play. I mean,
give me my freaking pipe bombs, dude.
Yeah.
Your pipe bombs are the best.
Oh, that's one dude, Space Marine. Fantastic. The last bit of news we have lined up for you this week in Touch and Go, Zelda Phantom. Let me try it again.
Nice.
Zelda Phantom Hourglass. There's a 22-minute demo footage on YouTube this week. You definitely want to check that out if you're a fan.
See it before it gets pulled, folks. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
you'll have about a week before they'll pull it for something.
It's really cool. I mean, it's the guy playing it. He's riding a little boat around, which I'll be honest with you, it looks boring as crap. But then once you get to the mainland and you start getting in dungeons and playing, that's where this meat of the game is going to be. I knew I wasn't a big fan of Wind Waker. I played it a little bit. I was falling asleep, and I love Zelda. And that's what's bothering me. If this game, I know it's kind of a more or less I think maybe a direct sequel to Wind Waker, but if it can just give me some of the classic Zelda, I'm there. I mean, it's portable, so I'll probably give it a little more of a chance. Because I can pick it up and go and play. I just can't sit in front of a TV and play these games anymore for hours and a long time. I mean, the last time I did that was Resident Evil 4, which sat on my shelf. I borrowed it from my brother. He killed it in a weekend, basically. And then, I borrowed it, and it sat on my DVD shelf here for months. And then finally one week I was just sitting here. I didn't really have anything to play. It was before all the big influx of DS games came out. So let me play some Resident Evil 4. Next thing I know, every day for at least an hour I was playing that game.
That game made me its bitch.
What a fantastic game. It really was.
What a
great.
fantastic game.
And I'm not a big Resident Evil fan.
Even my kid came and watched it.
I am not a Resident Evil fan. But, this was fantastic. And, Wind Waker was the same way with me. Except I didn't get drawn into it. I started out.
Yeah.
I was
like
falling
that,
asleep.
only the opposite.
I just can't get into Zelda 3D, and I'm hoping this looks like it's not as 3D. It's kind of got an isometric look, kind of like Animal Crossing. Which I'll tell you what, when I played GameCube Animal Crossing, the first thing I thought of was how cool would it be to have a Zelda game based on this engine. It was just it was almost like a mixture of the original Zelda, but with that little bit of 3D technology, but it isn't overkill, And I hope this just turns out. I think one thing that's really great is how you can actually draw on the map to pinpoint little things. Like what's this door? Or,
That's
you can
way
leave
cool,
little
dude.
notes to yourself. You got a little map.
That's awesome. I mean, I do miss. I don't care what people say. Oh, mapping is so much better when it's done on the screen. And
Nah, man, this is cool. This is customized stuff, man.
Call me a sadist, but I actually enjoyed old games where you actually took out graph paper and mapped out your own crap.
Dude, I did that all the time. I mean, especially, for like Bard's Tale,
Yeah.
where you'd have to look for the spinner traps and stuff. It was all like, let's try it again, go back, try it again. It was repetitive. And, we were glutton for punishment. I mean, I think one of the last times I ever did it was for the original Metroid on the NES. All the kids out there, man, they do not realize how lucky they have it. They think they're the best things in the world. They beat these games when they got those built-in maps and the strategy guides now. We didn't have strategy guides much.
No, we didn't
back
have
in the day.
frickin' yeah.
They weren't even strategy guides. I mean, I think Bard's Tale was called the Clue Book. It wasn't even a full strategy guide.
Yeah,
it was
it's
actually
not like it told you where everything in every possible area of the game was.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. Nowadays, you could get a strategy guide and be done with it. You can have the game finished and back at Blockbuster.
How not fun is that?
This is cool because this reminds me of me mapping out the entire freaking Metroid.
Yeah.
And I think this is just neat. I mean, you could circle a door and say, have I been in here? Or pause the game, circle a little thing, and then shut it off and come back and remember where you were based on the map.
I think that's going to
cool.
rule.
I can't wait to try it.
Me too.
So, well, that wraps up for Touch and Go this week.
Okay, well, that's
not a big exciting week, but
yeah, there's not much really to report on the website. We always like to close the show up with what's new on the website. Not a whole lot's going on, really. I haven't had a lot of time to work on it.
Yeah, I'd say the big thing was all those new games you added. You added what? You said like almost 100 new games to that thing?
60 or 70 games. I just sat down and for like 2 nights, that's all I did was add freaking games. Anything that I could find out there that was pretty much a confirmed game, even if I didn't have a date, I just started throwing them in there. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the list, and you're talking about almost 100 games known at this moment that are coming out, within the next 8 months or so.
I'd say that's probably the big thing. I mean,
that's
every once in a while, I haven't really added a whole bunch of things, but since I got back, early on, I went in and updated some artwork, but here and there, I just kind of touch up things. I've been trying to add more of my little reviews for all the past games. Before the show started, some of the older games.
Yeah,
and
I'm
that's
really
the thing.
delinquent on that myself.
Maybe we might have to save this for the next show, but I thought maybe we could give a quick few games that anybody who's new to the DS and are picking up the DS Lite and this is their first system. I don't know if you want to throw a few games that we should recommend. To maybe show off what the DS can do. A couple that I would recommend would be Trauma Center, which I don't know what it is. Best Buy always has tons of trauma centers.
Weird.
I hardly see them anywhere else but Best Buy. They got tons of them at Best Buy. It's not to say you're not going to find them anywhere else, but if you're looking for it, Best Buy is the place to go. They always seem to have at least 10 copies of it. I would go for that. And then WarioWare Touched. While not as good as Twisted, obviously, as we repeated amongst other things over and over.
Yes.
It's well worth picking up. I mean, it's a really cool game. It really shows off what the touchscreen is about, and the microphone. You got there's a whole one character that's all about microphone.
Yeah, some of them are pretty clever. I mean, I thought the Donkey Kong 3 thing was brilliant.
Oh, that was great. I
Wasn't
just played
that great?
last night,
dude,
too.
that is so cool. I can't believe they did that.
You used the microphone. If you played Donkey Kong 3, instead of using your you had the little character. It was the one Donkey Kong game where Mario, back in the day, did not show up. It was a character that Nintendo's never brought out again, Stanley. And he's got a little bug TNT, or not TNT,
sprayer.
Yeah. Just spraying up all the air up Donkey Kong's rear,
And it drives Donkey Kong to the top of the screen.
Which knocks the beehives, and the beehives come out and seal his fate. So what's cool is it's a recreation. There's a character in this game that's all retro Nintendo. So there's a lot of old school Nintendo stuff, and you're playing games based around them. And one of them's Donkey Kong 3. And instead of actually pushing a button to spray the little can, you actually have to blow in the microphone, and that pushes them up. It was just so cool. Really, really neat stuff.
Truly.
So I would definitely check out WarioWare Touched. A good puzzle game now. You're definitely pick up Magnetica and Tetris.
Yep, I'd have to
and
second
Mario
that.
Kart, Metroid Pinball. These are all games that I would definitely go for first. Not only to show off what the DS is about. You got the touching with WarioWare and Trauma Center, but also the Wi-Fi with Mario Kart and Tetris, and just good old fun Magnetica, you know. And if you can grab Phoenix Wright, it's a great game.
Yep.
I still haven't finished it. I mean, I played like through some of the first case, but I already know it's just fantastic, and it's one of those games that it's going to be my rainy day game that I can't wait to get to once all the influx of games has spread its way.
Yeah, I mean, you covered most of the real important ones. The other ones that I might look into, if you are into sort of like RPG survival type stuff, I would look into Lost in Blue. I really enjoyed that game. And I'm telling you what, if you like the show Lost, the TV show Lost, to me this feels like this was Lost before Lost. I mean, it's got you stranded on the island, weird things kind of happen. There's a secret temple that you have to find out what it's there for. Every time I look at it, I'm thinking, damn, this is kind of like Lost.
And what other game can you think of where you get to milk a goat?
Dude, I don't know of any other game you get to milk a goat. It's. I will warn you, it's got a harsh curve on it. I mean, you start off basically dead. I mean, you're within like one hit point of being dead, and you have to recover yourself and set up a camp and go find food and gather stuff to make fires and keep yourself hydrated. And apparently it's a sequel to a game called Survival Kids. I've never
I was just
played
going to
Survival
mention
Kids.
that. Yeah, Survival Kids was a Game Boy game. I don't think it came out for Super Nintendo. I do know for a fact though it was on the Game Boy Color, and it's from Konami. And
it's
this is
good
more
stuff.
or less.
It's one of those ones a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
And,
it's a little harder to find. They did reprint it over the holidays, so you can still find it. I've actually seen it at Target recently, so you might want to check it out. It's up there with Phoenix Wright and Trauma Center. It's kind of the harder games to kind of track down sometimes.
That's a tough game. And if you're looking for some sport games, of course, FIFA 06 is something that Chris
stuff,
always recommends. And I want to throw in True Swing Golf.
True Swing
Golf. Skip on Tiger Woods. Well, you got the Tiger Woods standard, build up the golfer crap. True Swing's definitely the better golf game.
And not only that, but not only has True Swing come down in price, it's now $19.99,
which is stellar.
You gotta buy it. It's well worth it. Take that $20 from Big Brain Academy and get this. Even if you don't care for golf, this game's great. There's a new kid at my job that I don't know how long he's gonna be there or what, but I brought my DS and he never heard of it or anything. He doesn't really play video games, so I think he has an Xbox. So anyway, I showed him the DS. He thought, oh, this is pretty cool. He was playing FIFA, and he's like, wow, I might have to get one of these because he loves soccer. It sold him. So the following weekend, I brought in my wife's DS, and we played. It was at the end of the day. We had a half hour to kill. So, I said, hey, let's play some touch golf. True Swing. So I put it in mine. He downloaded it. We played 9 holes. Fantastic fun, man. He was really good at it too. He caught right on. It's so easy to pick up and play. And if you're an older guy that love to play golf and maybe can't get out there in the links anymore, maybe to a bad knee or something, this is a cool little game to sit back and just chill out and have some fun with. I mean, and for $19.99, it's a must buy. And
absolutely.
The multiplayer is fantastic. You can not only send a demo, but you get to play 9 full holes with somebody. And also, FIFA 06 is $19.99. They brought out the World Cup FIFA. That's like $29.99. It's not worth it. Just go for the $20 FIFA 06. For $20, it's in my opinion, that and True Swing are the 2 best sports games on the DS right now.
Yep,
so,
and I wanted to throw in Meteos because I don't remember if you brought that up or not.
No, I didn't bring up Meteos.
But we talk about that all the time.
I kind of factored in Magnetica and Tetris as the 2 big puzzle games. So
yeah, keep an eye out for Puyo Pop Fever. I've seen it as low as like
$10.
$10, and there's not a better. It's on the top of the puzzle game list.
It's a good game.
Great game, and you can see it turning up every now and then in the used section of like GameStop and whatnot. The other thing I wanted to bring up was something we talked a little bit earlier about Chronicles of Narnia, which your wife is big into that, right?
You know what really bothers me? Tonight we found it for $19.99 new.
Oh, downer.
Yeah. We just bought it a few weeks ago for $30. It kind of sucks. It's a good game though.
It's as close to Diablo as you're going to get until we get Diablo.
Yeah, it's actually shockingly good. I mean, for a movie-based game.
It really is.
She's digging it. I mean, she likes those games where you can run around killing things. I mean, we're always playing Baldur's Gate or, Gauntlet and everything.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler that has a little too much story in it, but you'll get by. There's enough hack and slash action where you're going to be okay. Trust me on that one. And then I'm trying to think if there was anything else that really jumped out that I'd recommend, but I
think we got them all real quick.
Those are pretty much the real ones you want to look out for. There are tons of other good games, but when you really want to go out and say, hey, these are the cream of the crop, then that pretty much covers the.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Hold on. We totally forgot New Super Mario Brothers.
Oh no, we just covered that recently. I thought we were going back to like
sure.
DSR stuff.
Sure, yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't. A lot of people may not realize that that's even new, but I just thought we'd throw it in there. I mean, you got to have a Mario game in there. Luckily it just came out. Everybody needs a Mario platformer or something. Mario Kart kind of fills that void, but if you can, jump on this too.
Good stuff. Hey, did you want to talk anything about emails, or we pretty much covered everything?
I think we're pretty covered. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're kind of running along as it is.
Yeah, I think we're probably pretty much done. If we still have people listening at this point, I guess those are our devoted.
I mean, we got some previews coming up. I mean, you picked up the Max Media dock, I think, right?
I was going to, but they were out of them. But I'm going to probably order one because I want to be able to talk to people about it intelligently.
Yeah, we're going to pick that up for you and let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
We'll see what's going on in the following weeks. Guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Hopefully you're all enjoying your DS Lite. It'll be about the time you listen to this show, unless you're one of the people that sit on your RSS feed or sit there and watch your email all the time. You guys will probably get the story tonight get the show tonight before you go out and buy your Lite tomorrow. But I think most people will be enjoying their Lite while they're listening to the show.
Yeah.
So do hit our forums. Let us know what you think, not only of the show, of course, but also what you think of your new DS Lite. We've got tons of new people on the forums now, and there's a lot of interesting conversations going on. Mm-hmm. And I think it'd be cool to have more of our listeners over there.
Yeah. As long as you're marginally intelligent.
Yeah, just behave. Read the facts of the forums first. We don't ask a lot. We have like 2 or 3 things that are important to us. The rest of it, we're pretty much open. So.
Okay. Well,
all right.
This is Chris Henschel.
And this is Shane R. Monroe saying.
I guess we'll see you in a couple weeks here. We're bi-weekly. We seem to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, it seems to be working out okay. Until next time, listening is good.
It's good.
Take care, folks.
Bye-bye.